Hey everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Another fantastic time here for Faceit League. It has already been a long day thus far, but the day shall continue onward as we move from EMEA over to South America here, where these teams are still fighting, giving their all for the season. But for one of them specifically, Decatron, they still have a chance to qualify for that top four, to have a chance to fight at the upcoming EWC. And for Agave Faca, it's been a back and forth season, that is without a doubt. But they got a good shot here today of getting some momentum going to keep their chances alive.
Yeah, 4-4 on the season. Have two more games after this. One of them against Agave Garfo as their final game of the season. That one's now been rescheduled, I believe, twice. And then they have Element. Is it Heaven or Ice?
They have Heaven, I believe.
Yeah, so Element Heaven right now as their second to last game of the season. But this is the thing. Factor X is a really important game for them as well because of Fallen Eclipse forfeiting out of the season because they just forfeited too many games already. Factor X and Element Heaven are now in this neck and neck battle to see who's going to be that other team that is technically going to get demoted down to open tier if there is an open tier next season. So this is a very important game for Factor X. A win would put them above Element Heaven and potentially above other teams like Phantom Fatties and Agave Garfo, who still has a lot of games to play, as they're kind of in the same kind of spot they were last season, where they backloaded their games into the last couple weeks.
Yeah, and they went on a run, and to be fair, it worked out well enough for them. They got into the playoffs, didn't do too well from there, but they got there. They got top four, they solidified their spot to get back into Master, didn't have to worry about playing qualifiers, so they put themselves in a good spot. But still, the dream is alive here for the Faca team, but at the same time, Factor X, like I said, not only just potentially playing spoiler, but trying to get high enough to potentially retain a spot should open tier come back into existence next season. But right now, it's all about trying to pick up a dub here today, as we're going to have Factor X picking our first map to get this one started.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like Lijiang Tower is going to be the map pick from them. Not a big surprise. It's Lijiang. I mean, it's in the map pool. You're going to see it get picked out here. But, I mean, Hunter, I think me and you had a lot of hopes for Factor X coming into this season. They have some really good names on this team. They just haven't had the best of times so far. However, again, a win here tonight does definitely put them outside of that demotion spot right here. So very big game for them. On the other side, well, you mentioned it already, for Agave Faca, this is a team that if they win, they keep their playoff hopes alive, especially as right now Ragnarok sitting there with 3 losses is your 4th seed. And then after that, you have Element Ice, another 4-loss team. And then Garfo kind of just sitting down there with 3 losses, still having a couple more games to play. So it's going to be really, really important as we go through it here tonight. Still winning on the ban, though, from Factor X. It's going to be interesting. Pharah is a really good ban on this map right now. Pharah has found, I think, the most value of any DPS player on this map, maybe in the last week, which has been a really fun thing. And no, it's the Sombra.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, they did pick that in time. That is their own decision that they have made to get rid of the Sombra. To be fair, there's a chance they know something that we don't. I think, unironically, I think Cyber plays quite a bit of Sombra, if I'm not mistaken. But honestly, I don't mind it. Sombra can still be really disruptive. It's not the most critical DPS in the world, but to be fair, if you think it's going to give you the most trouble, you go for that ban. Because to be fair, if you are going to potentially send out like Volition's Vendetta, Sombra can be pretty lethal at shutting it down.
Oh, absolutely. Here, and looks like we do have Agave Faca here, so we'll be getting into the lobby here soon and getting into the game. We'll have to wait for their ban to pop up here, but I mean, you leave open that DPS, that tank line and support line here. Get rid of something like Devo really does force you into playing either Winston or really just going brawl for brawl here, which I think there's a lot of teams that would be more comfortable going that route here. But I mean, you could also get rid of a support hero, say something like the Kiri, something like the Lucio, even something kind of off the wall like the Juno. I feel like we started to see a little more Juno here in South America, but no, it's the Orisa, Hunter, that's gonna be banned out here by Faca.
I don't know. I don't hate it at the end of the day. Again, it's another pick where it's like you just don't want to deal with it. Plus, I mean, Orisa was kind of like the star tank for quite a little while here in South America, and definitely still makes its appearances as well. So we'll see what we get from that. So no Sombra and no Orisa. See how that goes from there. But either way, we're just waiting for people to get into the lobby before we get this thing properly started away. Somebody did not connect from before. We'll see how that goes down, because they did make one swap. DM, who is very much usually in for Factor X, Butcher instead was brought in the scenario, so we'll see what that does for them. And also, Cyber actually was swapped out as Wolfmo, I believe, was put in their stead.
No, I think it was Blanks who was put in instead for them.
Yeah, you might be right.
But I mean, hey, first time I believe me and you are seeing Butcher this season. Again, we've covered Factor X a couple times, and DM normally has been a player that's been safely in that starting lineup and just in the 5 that you see go into most of these maps. Getting rid of the Orisa might be a factor while you're seeing DM kind of step out here. Hey, Volition saying hi to you, Hunter.
Hey, my goat Volition. Oh, there we go.
Only says hi to you. Okay, I'm just not here. But I mean, it's gonna be really interesting to see both Blanks and Butcher come in. I believe we haven't seen a lot of them, if we have seen them at all here this season. But just the little bit of subs coming in here, the Orisa, the Sombra being banned out here, very interesting bans. You don't normally see them. I feel like maybe these are rare bans, especially right now, considering I think a lot of people, even the Sombra diehards, are saying Sombra might be in the worst state that she's been in a very long time. A very, very long time. And she's starting to get up there to the amount of reworks that Sim has. And that's not normally a good number.
Yeah, not a very good number. We'll see what ends up kind of being as a result of that. Very funny. You know who else is getting a rework? This is completely irrelevant. Juno is getting a stadium rework. That's insanity. That's a year of 2026. But hey, we're here now. We're focused on Overwatch. We're here to have a good time as both the teams hoping to get something out the gate, but Blank is coming out on the hazard potentially to start. Let me tell you something today, Dex, from all my time. There was so much hazard today in EMEA.
Yeah, EMEA definitely seems to be that region that's really trying to push the hazard a little bit more here. You saw teams like Team Peps and OWCS really try to push it. And I feel like you're starting to see it now a little bit more in these conference cups and these teams that, you know, still have to play for it. Hazard, very reliable tank right now, very sustainable tank as well. Has a decent amount of block and just a decent amount of maneuverability around the map with that violent leap, as you already see him going in there. But just look at the space that they can immediately take as they're focusing on that back line.
Doing the best able to do so, but point ready to unlock here in just a few seconds time. And for that D.Va, it's definitely tough to walk into a comp like this right here where, I mean, Blanks can just continuously slash into you, push you back, disrupt you. There's everything that you can do, and for the time being, it's looking like Faka are in a good position to get the first cap. That they will, but the fight not nearly over yet, as somebody eventually has to fall over here, but everyone being very persistent as Blanks eventually surrounded, cannot get out of there alive. As at the end of the day, without their tank, you would think they would start falling over, but Dex is doing a really good job trying to keep themselves in this.
Yeah, I mean, right now they know this fight's probably most likely lost, so they're stalling it out as long as they can here. Butcher could be able to take care of Vagrant. Down goes Endai as well, and now it's all up to WPB to try to get out, and I mean, they're going to be able to get out here with their lives because you have some support coming back in from Blanks and Key coming in, and now, oh, that's a terrible play here for Factor X, as they were looking so good, and somehow Starry Knight's the first one to fall.
Yeah, that's a bit on the rough side right there. So they're still hanging around. They're able to kind of just bring and persist forward. They'll be able to cap the point. Only 18% given away there for Factor X. And now you're already worried about ultimate for this fight. And honestly, it's going to be a pretty heavy ult fight.
Yeah, it really could be here, but it depends on how fast and how aggressively do you want to see Faka play here. Do they just go straight in with something like this override protocol, like the downpour, once Blanks gets it, or does Volition and Starry Night say, hey, we're gonna push this, we're gonna push the problem here a little bit earlier on, force the Consumer Rush out, and follow up with that pulse bomb right now. And I will have the Consumer Rush here, so they'll be able to respond very quickly. But still, you're looking for some opening, but it's actually be Fizzy starting off with the overclock.
Yeah, it's going to rush, throwing out the gate right here. Fizzy trying to do something with it. Is throwing everything into Blanks. Unfortunately, Blanks is somehow staying through it all with plenty of care. Horrible pulls the trigger, but unfortunately, a very dire trigger, one could say, as they get taken care of very quickly. Lots of criticals, as you see everyone simply just going to get out and try to survive. And honestly, give Endai quite a bit of charge, but who knows how much it'll matter.
I mean, a 3-for-2 ult trade right there. Factor X using the 3 and coming out on top. Granted, great plays coming out there to shut down WPV's override protocol. But now you have Bomb, you have Beat here for Factor X coming in this next fight. That's going to be very important, especially as you have that downpour online for Blanks, not that far away from Consumer Rush and their own Beat on the other side. You need to play a little bit aggressively right now. If you're Factor X, find that first pick, give yourself some slight advantage here, because you know you do not have the ultimate advantage here in this fight at all.
Yeah, you do not. Soundbarrier going to be available for both Lucio's Doze Rumble. Again, push back. Eventually, Spole on it, taking care of Blanks. Love to find a follow-up. Find Starry Night caught in place, but Blanks getting burnt into. Heal getting blocked eventually. Is simply going to have to fall over back into the 44. Unfortunately, 44 that's going to be so difficult to have to win right now. Factor X pulling it together, putting themselves in good territory, and on top of that, sound barriers held for both as Blanks gives up on the hazard.
I mean, Sound Bears held on to both teams here, but look over at Factor X. They're about to have all their ultimates back from that one fight. Blanks now with the swap over to the Zarya, gonna be far behind. Endai and WPB really far behind on their ultimates. This could be final fight, and Factor X might be able to throw all 5 ultimates here at Faka, and Faka will not have enough to respond with.
That is so the case right there. You see Fizzy trying to go upgate with the overclock right now. Beat used perfectly. Keep everybody alive over there on the scene, but now ult's still plentiful to come through right now, and I'm gonna let that loose. Force everybody back. Consumer is thrown back, but not in time to keep Butcher alive. West of bomb, and for the moment, surrender the point.
This is becoming worst case scenario now here for Factor X. All 5 ultimates have been expelled and not a single pick from them. And somehow Faka now, if they can find one pick here, they become in a much better spot with WPB about being so close here to having this override protocol online. But great play coming out from Volition and Butcher to get rid of them.
Yeah, and now this thing's getting shut down big time. And right now, if you're a Factor X fan, yeah, you see the glimmer of hope in your eyes going right there. Butcher gets rid of 2. No one is going to be able to help out after the retouch, as try as you might, Q is going to be a little short, as first point going over to Factor X.
And again, we laid out the situations here for both teams. Faka trying to, with a win here, going to be able to keep themselves in that playoff consideration. Factor X, a win here, gets them out of probably that automatic relegation if there is an open tier next season, which granted, the past 2 seasons there hasn't been one, but still, that threat is always there. That open tier could come back if there's a little bit more teams that come into face here in South America. And Factor X, I mean, we talked about, we know how great all these players are. We've seen them all excel on other rosters, just haven't been able to put together just yet on this one. This could be a season-changing moment here for them right now if they're able to come out on top of this series. Only a couple swaps coming out here now. Blank's gonna be sticking with the Zarya, but Endai now going over to the Juno instead. Like I said, we could see a little bit of Juno here. I think you're really looking at something here for Faka that they want to have a little bit more damage coming out from their main support here, as Butcher, or as Endai goes over to this Juno now. They want to be able to get a little more constant pressure as well. Those torpedoes very, very scary to go into.
Very much so. That far is also going to be a tour de force to have to deal with throughout the entirety of this thing. And hey, really quickly, Faka's learning that it's really difficult to have to go into. They're trying to get Butcher out of mech, at least for a consolation prize. Unfortunately, consolation prizes are not offered here on Lijiang Tower, as they'll be fully shut down, handed over to Factor X.
And again, you just saw the great play coming out there from Factor X. They found the one target. Starry Knight's been doing so good already so far this series. Granted, it's only been this map. With just finding early picks, and you see the difference there. Once they have that advantage, Factor X likes to just play aggressively. They like to play that death ball style, and they really like to focus, especially onto Blanks. Because you get rid of that Zarya, you get rid of a lot of pressure the team provides. But Fizzy finding Endai out early on here. Hunter, at this point, if you're Faka, you might be considering making some more swaps here.
Yeah, it's starting to become a real consideration right now, because the Diva is eventually just D-max, like you find, you know, something there. But the problem is, I don't know if that's enough to turn around your fight, as Fizzy is actually pretty far out there, and actually, this is maybe the definitive turnaround that they need.
Yeah, I mean, you lose the mech, you lose your Kyrie, and I mean, granted, they're going to be able to get back pretty fast here, but now you have no point presses on the point here. Volition does have Barrage about to be online here, but you're going to see both the DPS members of Factor X be taken out here. So, again, just a slight mistake there by Factor X. Maybe over-aggressing too much. You lose Butcher, who's just as getting the mech back right now. But now, if you're Faka, you can play a little bit aggressively here. You have, not necessarily any ultimates coming online, but you can definitely force out some other ones here from Factor X to put yourself in a much better spot.
Most certainly could. Barrage is available right now. Fizzy can be the first one to let it loose, though. Immediately finds Thermal over there. And now you're going to push everybody back. Big boop, though. Blanks is sent off, but Butcher pays for their sins. We'll go the exact same direction. Now you're back into a 3v3. One that I don't know if you're capable of winning with what's on the line right here. And I can make their way over back towards the point. I'm going to escape for the moment, but Fizzy, again, tracking them down. Fizzy so far has been absolutely killing it for this squad, as for the moment, eventually falling over, backing up, as Vagrant still wants to win this fight, but Volition very much says elsewise, as the point looking like it's going to flip over.
And WPV decides to invest their override protocol here. I feel like this is a little bit of a mistake on their part. I mean, that fight was already kind of almost over here. If you could find one pick with it, would be huge, but you're not going to be able to do that. Now, Consumer's out from both sides.
Yeah, and he was thinking about it, gonna try to burn through some bodies. Unfortunately, the only person burnt through is them, but actually Volition does go down near the end. Flip comes through again here as Butcher gonna use the bomb. Unfortunately, just shouldn't realistically remac. Oh, they will, actually. That's massive. They're staying in this, and in fact, they're not just staying in this. They now won this fight.
They won this fight. They have point back in their control. However, all the ultimates are now gone here from Factor X. Blanks does have the grab on the other side, but I mean, Butcher could pull out a little bit of an eat here. That would be very big. However, now they're just needing to run for their lives and stay in the mech. They're going to be able to do that here now, but still, if you're Faka, you are in a good spot here. So close to another, you have the grab, so close to another override protocol actually here from WPB, which, granted, last time it was used was not necessarily the best usage of it, but with the grab, it could find a lot of value.
That at 100% can, and now Bonafide territory here as Fuse heads taken off, and now Factor X feeling themselves right now in the 4v4. Butcher needs to be kept alive. Those Blanks is going to have this grab. It's going to be thrown out. It's going to fetch onto 2 perfect targets. Unfortunately, nothing you can do about that as Q going to make their way back. Endai still hanging around here for the squad. Is going to be able to hang around for quite a little while and make the force flip come through. Unfortunately, lose out on your Emray. Endai is now feeling all alone. Needs to run out of there. Folks are trying to stay alive.
Yeah, this is a moment right now where if you're still alive for Faka, you should probably just fall back and regroup here, but no, they're going to continue just charging into the fight. I don't necessarily like this play from them. They could have fallen back, regrouped, and have some time here, but once you lose Blanks here, you're not really going to be able to get a touch back, I think.
Yeah, we'll try as they might want to touch. Unfortunately, touches are not available. Headshot to end the round. It's Factor X that start with the first map here in this series. And again, we're talking about upset potential, fighting for the possibility of staying in Master Tier. It's technically very much still alive for them, and they're playing like it today.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, this roster here for Factor X, this is a good roster on paper. The results haven't been there just yet, but you're starting to see it now. The results are starting to come. Granted, it was only the first map, and especially with it being Lijiang Tower, people would say maybe it's a coin flip, but Factor X, they look like the better team throughout the entirety of that map there. And you have to remember the bans. Sombra, the guy that came out from Factor X. You might have called it right that there might be a Sombra player on the side of Faka, but I don't think a Sombra there would have made a big difference. And outside that, the Orisa would have maybe been a little bit better than the Hazard, but you even say yourself, Hazard's got a lot more play, especially in the conference cups that were going on in EMEA today, but it hasn't translated well over to here in South America just yet. But Faka, want to forget map 1 really quickly as they've already selected map number 2, and Hunter, not necessarily a big surprise here. It seems like if we're not going to a hybrid map, we're normally going to a flashpoint map, much like we are right now as we'll be heading to Surabasa.
Yeah, and I don't mind this whatsoever. Again, it's going to bring these a little more, it'll stay indoors, but the thing is, Surabasa does have kind of a unique play style to it, doesn't it? To the point where I think there's a lot of things that can very definitively work here, and I think they'll be able to play to their comforts a lot more. On top of that, they ban out the Kiriko, which, to be fair, I think was really difficult for them to deal with the particular style that they were trying to throw out there for those 2 points.
And you also just have to remember, Starry Night was finding picks basically free a lot of the times. They were finding opening picks as well. Picks that really determined how fights would go. Because I even called it out at the start of Gardens. Whenever Starry Night found that first pick there to open up the entire map, and you saw the rest of Factor X basically turn to a kind of a death ball kind of style on that first fight. And they were able to take care of everyone there from Faka very, very easily. So I think this is a really good ban. Now, for the other side, what do you ban out? You can't ban out support. Do you go after something like the Hazard, force them into something else? No. It's going to be the Zarya instead coming out here from Factor X this time. So I think you're kind of seeing that right now, Factor X wants to continue playing this diva, but they don't want to have to deal with the potential huge counter on the other side of that Zarya.
Yeah, I don't blame them in the slightest. Zarya is something that is, I feel like even today, so difficult for a lot of teams to deal with, because some teams just don't go the route of the Zarya, and it really prevents you from running things like the Diva, which is still, in a lot of ways, extremely popular to play. Like, extremely so, like, honestly, to the point where as much as I am a Diva main, please, Diva, go away. Just for a little bit. I beg of you.
You're a Diva main?
I play Diva, because I love my Winston, but I play Diva more than any other tank. I say that as I played it for, like, 3 collective minutes in our 5-map game.
Yeah, you play more Ryan than you play Diva. But no, focusing back in on this one here. Looks like no subs. Cyber staying out. DM not coming back in as well. I mean, hey, maybe they're not here tonight. Maybe this is just not their best map, especially for what they want to play. But I was really impressed with what we saw from Butcher and Blanks last round there. However, I think Butcher playing that D.Va looked incredible there for Factor X. And you have to imagine you're going to be seeing a little bit more D.Va whenever we go into Saravasa here. Maybe Ramatra comes back out here. Maybe that would be the only other tank I would potentially expect to see that we did not see map 1. Orisa is there as well, not banned out this map like it was map 1, so you could see that. We do know that, especially when we first started coming to South America, Orisa was essentially like the tank of this region.
Was, and I think still has maybe some variants of viability to be able to still function with. It's a weird scenario because we live in the day right now where there are these big heroes like, you think of like the Zarya, you think of like the Emre. Screw it, the Symmetra, still a really good character for a lot of teams that try to utilize it. And it's something that just doesn't work well with some of these other heroes like the Orisa. That's a perfect example. That Orisa, while having a lot of utility, can be bursted down by all these heroes that I've mentioned, heroes that are very popular in today's Overwatch. But at the end of the day, these teams are going to play what's comfortable to them and what they think is going to win them these games. Because you remember this Factor X squad, they were so heavily leaning into the Zarya Vendetta throughout a lot of the season. And honestly, I just didn't think it worked out well for them, all things considered. I think they're a lot more comfortable with what they ran in that previous outing.
Yeah, I mean, we covered Factor X a couple times. We saw that Zarya Vendetta time after time again. And while granted, it had some moments where it looked like, oh, wow, it's finally all starting to click here. The majority of the time, like you said, it just didn't really work. It didn't click for them. Now, what we saw last map was a great difference there for them, and it looked a lot better here, especially with, again, we got to hark on it a lot throughout the night. A win here tonight does at least get them out of that promotion relegation spot, but they still have one more game to go after it, where they would probably need to win it to keep themselves safe from it. But we're going to be heading into Saravasa here in a brief moment. But Hunter, let me ask you this. What does Agave Faka need to do here? Because they, at moments last map, looked like they had good ideas, but you go from Control Center over to Gardens, and it seemed like the ideas were kind of, not necessarily there. The one couple team fights they won was because, well, Factor X maybe over-aggressed a little bit into their own spawn.
It is pretty reasonable, all things considered. Faka, the thing is, I think they have a lot of advantages to play too. And honestly, I don't know if you feel the same, but I think their advantage, honestly, is through their support line. Like, we did not bring up Vagrant and Endai. You know what we say? We don't bring up the support. It's typically because they're doing a pretty dang good job. And I think they were doing a really good job. Open up those avenues as much as you can to keep your supports protected, to continue opening those avenues so that Q and Wormhole can go out there and honestly find more value. Because they definitely had moments before, but Volition and Fizzy were absolutely popping off during that first round, making it difficult as possible for the rest of Faka to do their jobs.
These are certainly some comms coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Volition going with the Tracer, I think, makes that one a little bit more normal. Fizzy still on this Torb is going to be interesting. I think they really expect to see something else coming out here from the other side for Faka. But Blanks on the Malgo. Malgo's been a hero we've seen a lot more here as of late, and you have Kiyu as well on this mate. This is going to be a really much a ground and pound kind of competition they're going to be playing here, as well, you already see Blanks trying to run into that backline. The ice wall from Kiyu is going to be very, very important here. However, I mean, they can also throw icicles at your head.
That's also viable, I gotta say. Good strategy, good strategy. As you try to stomp down, nearly getting it over onto Freyeg, who is being forced to get out of there eventually. Both supports, honestly, on the run from one another. Starry Knight is going to be able to force one more touch to no avail, as Volition, Fizzy, just going to back out and take that reset, as for this time, it's a good start for Agave Faka, who are going to play a lot quicker with this composition.
Fizzy? Fizzy?
But he's so far! What? He's getting chased so far!
I mean, he threw the turret out at least, but this could be a moment right now where if you're Factor X, you're not going to be able to run the point, because I think they were maybe setting up to go save their Torb, who now swaps over to the Emre instead here. So actually, wow, I'm surprised to see a mirror match come out here, as Butcher also makes swap over to the Malga as well. I did not expect to see this mirror match tonight, Hunter. You could have bet me $1 million. This would not have been the one I would have bet. Guessed would be our mirror match.
Yeah, well, I guarantee you nobody prayed for it. We'll see how it works with the new swaps, though. Butcher being in there right now. Blanks is going to get separated momentarily. Doesn't matter, though. Butcher burnt down as a result. The rest of the squad now is just going to be quickly reset here. Q gets rid of 2. Vagrant does fall as a result, but honestly, I don't think they're too mad about that one. As I take the reset, first point going to go their way. A lot more definitive in the way that I think this squad is really hoping these fights will continue going.
Yeah, if you're Faceit, this is exactly what you were hoping for here. A much better performance on this first point. The comp you had coming out of the gate definitely threw off Factor X. And Factor X, I mean, they mirrored it. They just completely said, hey, we can't necessarily think of any way to slow this down, so let's mirror it and try to put them in the hell they're putting us in at the moment. And look, Blizzard, Override Protocol, Orbital Array and a Rally about to be online here for Faceit. There's not a lot that Factor X could do here. However, I mean, they find the first pick.
They do. Now they want to try to hang around here as best as possible right now, throwing everybody healing over to Butcher. It's just not going to matter at all. Rummel's going to let this one loose, and honestly, it's just to kind of clean things up a little bit. I don't really hate it. Fizzy still manages to find one as the rest of the squad forces their way over onto the point, as Fizzy's going to let it rip in here. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to find Diddly squat.
I mean, great uses of the Orbital Ray there from Endai. Forces that Override Protocol from Fizzy to basically just find nothing there. Granted, you did get all the ultimates out that you were kind of hoping for, but now Blizzard's gonna throw. Oh my goodness!
Wow. I mean, what do you say to that? You know, that's a perfect combo right there. You throw it out, you separate it to the point where they literally can't get out of the freeze. And now with that being the case, Starry Night would love to get out alive. Won't. That's a full team right there for Faceit. A perfect utilization of the combo.
I mean, hell, Faceit just threw them in a Siberian prison right there in the middle of winter. I mean, no one was getting out of that one right there. And Fizzy now making another swap here, going over to the Sojourn instead. Vagrant still does have their rally online here, and you look at the percentage right now for Faceit here, Hunter. This is final fight territory. Granted, you're going to have 4 ultimates ready to go here for Factor X, but you need to find a way in. You need to find a pick, and so far, however, never mind, Fizzy finds one.
Yeah, and this freeze is going to find a couple victims of its own right here. Blank's going to try to get out, but it's just so far separated. This would be a shocker if they did manage to stay alive, but they're getting plenty of health. That's the crazy part. We're still holding on to cage fight as well, and now Blanks is in there deep. Has nowhere to escape to, no cooldowns. Eventually going to fall on down. Wormhole, who's been trying to honestly do a lot of great things this series, is now in a bit of a tough position back here, one could say.
I mean, they have Vagrant with them. Vagrant might be in the worst position because never mind. Apparently, we're investing into this fight.
Sure, why not? You can sustain through it. Cage fight gets forced out. You flip the point in the process as well. And while Vagrant might die in here, I think this is probably worthwhile. Because eventually you burn him down. But now, if you're Starry Night, you have to consider investing here to even have a chance at winning this fight. As Rummel, still hanging around the back line, is going to start throwing these shots in. Furiak would love to stay alive and hang around this corner. It's just getting pelted endlessly. Rummel gets there 1, gets there 2, hoping for a bit of a hat trick here today, as eventually it's going to be forced out, but I think it's too little, too late in regards to this, as they get one final touch at the last second. Q shows the freeze out, doesn't really get anything with it though, but again, not going to matter. Map point online here for Agave Faceit, as that one a lot closer than I think they would have wanted, but still shutting down Butcher with ease.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Factor X, the only thing you can take away from that point is, hey, we won a fight, we got the point, and you're going to have a much significant closer walk to the next point. However, you already see the majority of Agave Faceit just getting set up here on the point. Override Array about to be online for Endai. Blanks does have another cage here. Fizzy will have Override, but I just don't think you have necessarily enough here, as I think Faceit has maybe found the kryptonite here, as the cage somehow doesn't catch Butcher.
Yeah, unfortunate. But, hey, you just break it through, you try to find some targets, and to be fair, freaking target would be Fizzy if they were surrounded enough, but Volition actually falls over instead. Blanks, though, is suffering right now. Eventually, and I'm going to let loose on this one, as they need to just touch the point. Thank you very much. As, yeah, the rest of this Factor X squad going to burn up and Butcher along with them.
I mean, this is a much different Faceit team than what we saw map 1, and a very, very different Factor X team. Factor X, they just seem lost right now. Faceit seems like they found something that's really working out for them, and they know how to play it. While Factor X, on the other hand, is just struggling to get anything to go the way. Volition going over to the Far here. I like it a little bit better. We talked about how good Far is at just getting poke damage, and that could be something that really ends up helping out their team here. However, is it going to be enough to turn around this entire map? Time will tell, but they are slowly running out of that here. Granted, about to have 3 ultimates online, so maybe only a Blizzard and Override on the other side.
Yeah, because he had a really good first map as well, hoping to pick things up a little bit to give their team a little bit of a better chance. Wormhole's getting chased down, need that second hit. Wormhole's end up winning the 1v1 though. Volition eventually going to get the cleanup rocket and rolling, but Q now in there with a freeze. Has a lot to say here. The moment that Butcher decides to go over on this point, it's going to get thrown back as the freeze gets kind of chucked in there. as Butcher is going to be hard separated, gets stomped, gets literally boxed in like it's Alcatraz. And now it's just Lowball trying to clean this fight up. Brick doing everything they can. Volition hanging on by a thread right now. Still has a barrage ready to go. Would like to think about using it, but it looks like it's going to be held off on in hopes that they can simply finish this fight out naturally right now. Blanks, though, doing everything they can to stop this from being a reality, from shutting this down right here and now. And so far, it's looking like it could be a possibility, but this is so back and forth, Dex. Nobody wants to give this point up.
They're investing heavily into this fight. I mean, this could be, I mean, they could somehow come on top here. This is insane. And they don't.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's a little unfortunate.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, to be fair, the only thing I can benefitly say is they were getting pretty wiped away towards the end of that.
They were.
Man, not the funnest way to end a fight.
But, I mean, Hunter, if you look at the stats from map 1 and then look at the stats from map 2, it's just the same story, just, well, it's just mirrored at this point. Agave Faka really struggled with anything going on map 1. Coming to the map 2, they looked incredible, and Factor X just struggled immensely throughout this entire one. Volition and Fizzy combined to have over 50 elims last map. Well, combining elims this map, only 14. Which is a little bit less than 50 for everyone that just knows how to do math. You'll figure it out there. But it's not the best performance, especially after, again, Factor X, they looked like they figured a lot of stuff out there. I'm surprised we didn't see the Diva at all there from Butcher, because the Diva they played on Li Jiang looked incredible, and the Mauga just struggled immensely throughout that entire map.
Well, the bright side is Mauga probably not viable on this upcoming map. And I think, I'm being so genuine, I think for the first time, is it the second time only since we covered Faceit League ever? If Numbani coming our way, we see, this is the thing.
Hunter,
go ahead.
How did you forget? This was the most egregious C9 we've ever saw.
I think my brain just decided to wanted to try to forget it. I think that's what it came down to here. But the thing is, it's only the second time we've covered it this season, but I genuinely could not tell you another time we covered Faceit League in a Numbani map. I could not tell you.
Well, they took it out of the map pool, I think, for the last 2 seasons.
I wonder why.
It just wasn't picked. I mean, hey, I always say the teams need to learn how to play these other maps, because King's Row is not going to save you. Numbani might actually save you at this point. But Factor X has the first ban here. Just gonna get rid of the Brig. And you know what? Love the pick. Love the ban coming out here. Especially from what we were seeing there, that last map. That Brig was very vital for both teams, but it always seemed to be favoring Agave Faka there. So you get rid of the Brig, forces you to maybe play as something a little bit different. This is a very dive-heavy map. You look at that dive backline of that Brig Ana, even though it's slightly less used, now still very much viable, especially on this first point. But you get rid of the Brig, you kind of maybe force that Ana to also step out of the play as well, and you might just be sticking with Lucio and Kiriko here, or Kiriko and Juno here. Both these teams seem to be favoring the Juno here over the Lucio tonight so far.
Yeah, very much could be the case, and now we'll see what the counter ban is going to be in this scenario. Yeah, you could very well decide, like, hey, we go after the tank category a little bit here. But again, there are also plenty of DPS picks on a map like Numbani that you just wouldn't want to deal with. But no, tank category, it is indeed the Diva going to be our second ban.
And again, great ban coming out from Agave Faka. We talked about how much Butcher has excelled in this Diva, especially when you go back to Li Jiang Tower. I mean, at least I want to see a little bit last map, considering, I mean, hell, Saravasa is still a good map for Diva. Even though they were playing, both teams decided to say mirror the Brawl Malga comp there, Diva could still find a lot of value into that kind of composition. You get rid of Diva here, you force something like the Winston, like the Doomfist, the Wrecking Ball, the Hazard back on the table now. We've seen both these teams play it to almost zero success, honestly. But do you see that? Or do you just see both these teams potentially force Malga again? Because if you're Agave Faka, that might honestly be the way to go.
It might very well may be. We'll see what ends up going down, though, as, first of all, hello, Redder. Redder's in the chat, having a good time with it all. We'll see. But either way, hey, haven't seen Fizzy over on the Bastion in a long time. We'll see if that ends up sticking or not. But hey, you know what's back on the scene? Double Hazard, which again, I'll be honest, while I say we saw a lot of Hazard, I should clarify, a lot of Hazard, not a lot of it worked out very well, I will say.
Well, one of them is at least going to work out this time. It has to.
It mathematically has to.
Yeah, this is like, yeah, mathematically, it has to work out for one of these teams. But Busy getting off the bastion, going over to the Freya instead, which, Hunter, it's been a while since I think me and you have actually seen a Freya here, which has been a surprising thing. But Emre, Soj, Cassidy coming back into the meta here a little bit has really gotten rid of the bounty hunter here.
It kind of has. It's opened up a lot of other possibilities to the point where the Freya was a very heavy pick for a little considerable period of time. Now, not so much. Lots of better options nowadays, but still, if you feel confident in it, you go with it right now. But unfortunately, Faceit shut down quickly on that Lucio as Fizzy trying to pot shot away to no success thus far.
Doesn't eventually have to throw their body on the point, but Fizzy will fall here to WPB on the other side. And now I feel like at this moment right here for Factor X, this is just a stall moment right now. But you're just going to back up, try to play lives, but you're not going to be even able to do that.
Yeah, and they're just going to continue picking up bodies, by the way. They're still chasing right now, forcing bodies back. You know that you still have Fizzy out here right now who would love to get out of here alive and should be able to for now. As I think everybody got forward spawns, to my belief. As much as you can call them forward spawns. Oh, no.
I don't think so. I don't think any of them did. Or if they did, they immediately just swapped straight back to the other spawns to make sure they weren't going to get staggered out. Even worse here. But 5 minutes on time back here now for Agave Faka, and they're in a good spot. And Hunter, like you said, mathematically, one of these hazards was going to end up working, and so far, Blanks, well, they're making the hazard look really, really good so far. Butcher still kind of struggling here, but losing Frigg first, yet again, not how you want it to go.
No, because Vagrant, while they're still kind of like even with the charge of the Lucio charge for that sound barrier, it leaves you the door open to kind of at least be able to keep up fully. Or be in a situation where, hey, we know their sound barrier is ready, ours is ready to go as well. At the very least, we can still use ours. As Frey gets a little bit of revenge on DQ, as they are going to be able to take care of them. And to be fair, is this going to stem the bleeding? The answer right now is, I don't think so quite yet. Actually, never mind. I'm proven very wrong as they run for their lives.
I'm surprised they decided to run for their lives here, and never mind, Hunter. Get ready to see them immediately turn tail back on them, especially as the pulse bomb finds Starry Night.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Fizzy pushed back in. Sorry, buddy. This one may be cooked right here, as everyone gonna be able to stay alive over on the side of this squad for Faka. And now, Factor X feel different for this map one, where they solidified their footing so quickly, and now they just can't seem to find it.
No, I mean, that's a completely different series right now. Factor X just looks lost, and Agave Faka just has everything going their way. And look at the ultimate Nakami right now for them. 3 ultimates online. Yeah, granted, there's about to be all 5 ready to go on the other side, but you want to see something here from Factor X. You just haven't seen that just yet.
You really haven't. And now you have big alter change ready to go. Romo just catches Fizzy out, and now all you can do is keep backing up. The thing is, you have to consider using something eventually here, right? Because you've had some of these ultimates for a hot minute now and haven't even really had a chance to use them. And now they have so much ready to throw back in their face, too.
I mean, you did ask for them to throw something out. They threw the pulse bomb out. However, they stuck on to maybe the worst person to throw out the pulse bomb. They get the pulse bomb stuck onto. Override coming out from WVB here. So getting the fight started. Downpour from Blanks could be used just to make sure that no one comes out to contest.
Well, someone better contest. If I haven't seen on this point, I'm going to lose my collective stuff right now. But it's a good opportunity right now. Fizzy going to let it loose with that Bolo shot. Volition, though, is flipped over to the side as eventually they're going to continue forcing things down. Downpour does get onto a couple of bodies, but it's just Butcher and Furiak. They're trying to hold on as long as they can. They barely retouch the card here as Blanks is hanging on by a thread. Butcher is the same case as they're going to be able to TP out just in time with a little bit of that Kitsune rush over here. Affecting the backline a little bit. Starry Night doing everything they can to stay over on this point. Pulse bomb there. It's going to take care of business. They're going to come back, slice and dice it all up, and they're going to be able to finish to the point with 4:01 left on the clock. That is a bigger take than I'm comfortable with. I got to be honest.
I think that's a bigger take than anyone's comfortable with, Hunter. Like, you're seeing time be added to the time bank here. And whenever that happens, it's not a good thing for the other team. And again, the performance we saw from Factor X in map 1, I think gave me and you a lot of hope for this team in this series. They looked like that they could really stand up to Agave Faka, but Agave Faka, just starting last map, seems like they found their swagger back and just is not going to let it go here. They are just kind of rolling at the moment. Granted, right now, if you're Factor X, the only thing you need to focus on is just completing the map. It doesn't matter the time bank. Who cares about that? Complete the map. Give yourself a chance here to at least potentially draw. I think that's the name of the game for them here at this point. But you look over at the other side, Blanks has really made this hazard work, while Butcher kind of struggling here. Blanks went 10-1 last round. Butcher went 2-3. Granted, does have a little bit more healing than Blanks, but the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily matter when the time bank on the other side had time added to it.
Yeah, it's not the best case scenario, I can tell you that much, but we'll see how these changes go, because Endai is over on the Alari instead, and Fizzy coming out of character, I think. Oh, well, never mind. Just goes back to the Emre instead. Fair enough, but Fran does go to the Wu Yang, which I do actually kind of like.
Yeah, I like it a little bit as well, just for a little bit more poke damage coming out here. Those water orbs do surprisingly a lot here. I think a lot of people still get caught off guard, but Forig needs to make sure they keep themselves alive here. But I think if you're Factor X, just find the first pick is what you want to do here. Just give yourself a little bit of momentum and a little bit of advantage going into this fight, just to make sure you're not already playing from behind.
Ooh, yeah. If Fizzy just gets, like, outright assassinated, there's nothing you can do in that scenario right there, being Fizzy specifically. But it's just a quick fight. You got to regroup, and I feel like they're going to try to take advantage of this idea a lot of just jumping one or two people that they can isolate.
I mean, that's exactly what you should do here. And unfortunately, Endai might be the person that, if you're Factor X, you might want to focus on. But you get rid of Vagrant early on. Now you need to start pushing that W key as fast as you can. You need to take the fight now.
Yeah, you 100% need to, and they already have big pressure on this point. The Lanks being dealt a ton of damage, eventually burnt down by their counterpart. Same thing for Q, as it looks like this one is going to be pretty quick, all things considered, as well. Vermal and Vagrant only 2 alive currently. But the bright side is everyone is going to be alive getting those forward spawns. That means they can play for this initial corner, and to be fair, their comp has the sustainability to stay there for quite some time.
Oh, it very much does here. I mean, Endai on this Yari throwing up that healing pylon is going to be a big difference maker here, being able to hold up this pylon. But Q finding Volition kind of slows down everything that Factor X was probably looking for here. But like I said, Hunter, Factor X, I think the name of their game, find that first pick, give yourself a little bit of an advantage here, but already down 2. You already see him starting to back up.
Oh, yeah, they have to. And now you're looking at potential spawn hold scenarios right now, which basically they are with where that cart's at. But you got to build up some of these ultimates to be able to kind of counteract, because Sooner Rush is around the corner. Vagrant is hopelessly behind right now. 30% behind. Starry Night could just very well use it to pull this corner and take all the space in the world right now. But you see how they decide to go about it right now. Cube member still has a pulse bomb sitting by ready to go. Would love to find a potential victim, but for the time being, everyone kind of just biding time.
Especially with Fizzy dying there. I mean, it's great play by Blanks, noticing when that Butcher decided to go for their backline. The entirety of Baka just decided to split up, while the entirety of the backline for Factor X could not split up. They were left in a spot where that hazard was going to find a lot of value. But Fizzy trying to get something going here early on as the downpour comes out. Going to capture Fizzy.
That's so right now. Starry Night pulled down, is going to be able to get away momentarily right here, as Endai trying to find some more value. Eventually throws it out. Doesn't really get anything. Volition technically got hit with it. Is literally just avoiding it like the plague. Managed to stay alive throughout that entire exchange. And Starry Night would love to do the exact same thing as Endai, try as they might. Value is hoping to come their way, but they will eventually fall over. We're back into the 44 decks where someone needs to get that definitive blow, and that is found right there. And again, at last, Factor X charge forward once more.
Again, Hunter, the only goal for Factor X this round is just to complete the map, give themselves a chance here. And, I mean, they're pushing up this cart now. You're halfway to the second point. However, you're now on the defensive side of the map here, which is going to make it very harder for Factor X to get anything going here, especially down 1. They're just going to play their time, wait for that 1 to come back, and then engage into a fight. Now they're going to have to wait for that second, and now making the third one to come back. This might just be a full reset here now for Factor X.
Yeah, you can probably say that right now. Butcher would love to get out of here alive, but I, also would like $1,000. Neither of those things have happened today, as Butcher will just hit the reset button, but does have a down 40 to go.
they have a downpour ready to go, but there's nothing else here for Factor X. You look over at the other side, you have that Ketsu, you have the override protocol, and you're not that really far away from Blanks getting their own downpour and probably a pulse bar from Kiyu here as well. But just look at the pressure that Faka's giving here now to Factor X. They're forcing them to really play around this corner until they think they have the opportunity to really find something out here. And everyone for Faka is playing at a really good spot here, making it difficult for Butcher to find that one person to dive onto.
That's so. Just over 2 minutes on that clock as well. Still time to work with, but you don't want to have to fall into that pressure that comes with the ideology of knowing, like, hey, this is our last fight. We need to pop off right here and now. We have to use these things here and now. As Rommel gets pulled down, eventually going to get bursted away. That is dangerous right there. You forget how far down you can actually be pulled by the hazard here. As they're going to get the perfect nade onto Endai, by the way, as they're going to stall at this point a little while longer over here. But I think 3 bodies on should be able to cap this point.
And again, what's the goal for Factor X? Complete the map, and you should be able to get second point here unless you see some ultimates be invested here by Faka, but I don't think anyone's going to do that. Second point is capped. This could be a good stalling opportunity here, though, for Faka. You look at what they have. It's Captain Sun, it's Kitsune, Pulse Bomb, not that far away from a downpour, while the other side, outside their downpour, they almost have everything.
Almost. See how much they can get right now as Butcher's just in a room that I don't even want to be in, quite frankly. But Kitsune Rush does get used in that exchange. Now you have 4 to respond back with, so if you rolled these ultimates right, you could be in really good shape for the next couple of pushes.
Yeah, you're really good here, but it's still the Captain Sun from the other side for Endai could be something that really blows up a lot of stuff. Physio finding WV is huge, and that's exactly what you need here if you were Factor X.
Yeah, and Blanks is not getting out of here alive, obviously. We'll see if anybody else managed to do so, but Butcher gets rid of another one. I think they're third of the fight. And now you take a ton of space as a result.
Yeah, honestly, right now, if I'm Factor X, I might have more than one person on the cart here because you want to try to get this as close to just desperation territory here for them. But Kiyu almost finding Fizzy in that backline would have been huge. Kiyu now barely getting out with their own lives, but Captain Sun downpour online still here for Faka. Those are going to be big players in this fight.
Oh, we'll see how it's going down from here. Faceit already taken care of, but Butcher winning that one is honestly really massive. Unfortunately, their backline is currently getting turned into paper mache, but apparently, doesn't matter. Butcher's, oh, that's bad. That's quite bad. Quite bad.
Unfortunate, because honestly, I don't know how close Vagrant was to an ultimate, but I'm gonna take a guess they were somewhere around Kiyu and WPV right there. However, you don't have Faceit in this fight. You also, I don't believe, have who is that? Fizzy, who also just respawned with Faceit. Granted, you still have a downpour though, and you're down to 4 people on the other side here. This is a moment right now where if you're Factor X, you have a chance to complete this map.
100% do, honestly. Because now you regroup. Endai's the only person alive, and considering the fact that they have chipped health, I'm going to make an assumption Endai's not in a great area right now. And plus, you still have 2 extremely strong ultimates right here, especially ones where, if you have to stay on a cart, there's a sun and a downpour waiting with your name on it. That is not where I want to be as a defender.
But you have to remember, the sun is currently in the spawn. Faceit just respawned, so they're not in this fight. And Fizzy, I think, is going to push this one up as far as they possibly can here. But right now, Butcher and Volition just need to get on this cart. I think they could complete the map if they did that.
Yeah, but the Malg is in right now. Big separation onto Rommel, and now eventually you have to pull your way on it. You just pull this right now. Yeah, you try to burn down Blanks right here and now. But Blanks has all the care in the world. Just going to block all that damage away. Eventually going to be gone. Captive Sun's going to be here. Catches on to the perfect target. Oh my god, Butcher. And now, 1:15 on the clock. They finish with time. It is still an upward hill. But the fact that they finish with time, they keep their chances alive. And it's really just down to them trying to replicate the way they initially started their attack.
Yeah, I mean, granted, both these teams got off to really fast starts, but you have to remember, Factor X, they did really lose one engagement, and it was about a minute and a half before they really got anything going last time. They cannot afford to do that, but you also have to remember perks are now available for teams, for both these teams, so they're going to be picking those pretty early on here. And what do you see come out here now from Faka? Because the hazard that Blanks looked really good on that first round kind of slowed down a little bit there, but granted, you look at the time bank difference, and when it's almost 3 minutes, Hunter, I think you're okay playing with what you played the majority of that last round. And I think both teams are going to basically just be showing us a mirror match here again, which I'm kind of surprised by a little bit. Fizzy, I'm not buying it anymore. You've done this now 3 straight rounds. Just go over to the Emre. But I mean, the Bastion would be so fun because I think it would be something that would really catch, especially someone like Blanks off guard.
It 100% would catch Blanks off guard. Honestly, I think you go for this. Why not? Because at this stage right now, it feels like in my brain, I don't want to say you almost have to, but I think it's worth doing. Because your priority is bursting through this initial point as fast as you possibly can. Because right now, going to the situation, if you're a Factor X, honestly, if you want any real chance at winning this, I think you need to get this thing like at least past the initial corner at second point. I think that is your bare minimum, genuinely.
20% of that clock gone right now, about to get down to make it 40% here.
Yep, Volition though, perfect target right there. Blanks trying to struggle a little bit as well, trying to block as much damage as humanly feasible, but everything being done to try to end their life right there. Fizzy is trying to take tons of space as well. They're getting pushed back continuously, as unfortunately this isn't going to work out too well, but you get your initial tick, so it's now technically a winnable game. The question is, will there be a retouch?
I don't necessarily think there will be here. I think Fizzy is just going to be a big enough deterrent for them doing that, because if they lose one here, they lose a lot of that first corner hold that they did a really good job on last round here. But Fizzy on this Bastion, I mean, again, they've been teasing us with it so far a lot this map. Now it's looking really good, but Blanks now up there. However, the spawn door opening up is going to be able to save Fizzy.
Yeah, you're going to be able to bounce them out, and now overtime going to be entering. It's got to be perfect from here on out, and honestly, the biggest thing is you can hang around this corner for a while, but Vermal's going to have the first ultimate on display right here. There's a lot to deal with once that comes online. Fizzy has one of their own, though. They're going to pull around this corner momentarily. Let it loose. You would love to find one, and Blanks is going to get a perfect cleanse there as well to hang around. But for Starry Night, it's about dumping all these healing charges in a way, trying to hang in there to get a Kitsune rush to put them in a much better position in this fight. But Volition down early. We have a Captive Sun ready to go. Gets thrown in. Catches on to 2 different targets. They almost don't get back on that point, by the way. Kitsune rush activated, but is it too little too late? I'm thinking the answer is going to be a resounding yes. Downpour doesn't even get out properly, as they'll get past the initial corner tactically, but that means they can be afforded a single fight loss in the span of 4 minutes.
It's winnable here. However, I just want to say one thing. I feel so bad for Starry Night's Kitsune rush there, because Butcher put down the jagged wall right in front of them. So the Fox immediately just ran face first into the wall. But still, here's the thing right now. If you're Factor X, you made this winnable, but you really need to drag out this first point as long as you can, because granted, you have additional time than what you normally get in a normal round here. Granted, it's a second, but any additional time that you have added on to essentially another first round is huge for them. And already look at the changes here coming out from Factor X. Fizzy, I think they're just going through a couple swaps right now. Ashe, Emre, I don't think we're going to see the Bastion again, because I think that's really only a good viable option on offense. But still, I mean, if Volition can find a pick early on, we've seen how this Factor X team plays when they have that advantage on their side, and that just needs to be how they really played the entirety of this round. Play safe, try to find that odd man out, and get that one pick, because we've seen it so far that Baka doesn't necessarily like to engage in the fights down a person.
Definitively so. We'll see where it goes from here, though. Again, once you lose 2 fights, this thing is done. It is dusted away. Best thing you can do, honestly, it's weird to say, to burn as much time away from here as possible, but that's a genuine reality that you have to consider. And it's not like this, but Q is down early. Definitely a really good way to get your fight started over here, but there's so much time to have to burn away. It's literally a full attack's worth of time that they have to get through.
Yeah, but look, where everyone is right now for Faka, this could be very punishable, but they're just going to fall back instead, and I really like what Factor X is doing here. Not chasing, just going to let them have that space right back here. All 5 members about to be back here for Faka, and there's a dive in, but you lose for Aik.
Oh, no, that could be worst case scenario. Now, Volition needs to find somebody like now, if at all possible right now, but the Vagrant literally jump scares them, and now if you're Volition, I think you have to give this up. You need to give this up, back up, keep everybody alive, and try your very darndest to kind of hang around here. Fizzy's dead! Oh. No, that's worst case scenario. Now you have to take a 4v5 on this corner.
And I mean, you already just see the entirety of Faceit just kind of pushing up right now. And Fizzy now going back over to the Bastion. I don't even know if they're going to be able to get back in time to be a part of potentially final fight, especially as you lose Starry Night yet again.
Oh, it's insanity. Genuinely so. And now they're just being cleared around. Try as they might, it's just not going to happen. Vagrant's hanging around over on the point. Heal's gotten rid of 2, and Vagrant is going to just do a maybe a little dance over on the point. Freyek tries to get back over on the Cat. They're going to try. Unfortunately, they are going to come up just short, as it is going to be Faceit taking it to match point.
And again, much better kind of map there for Factor X, but Faceit, I just think that first round they showed us was too dominant for Factor X to be able to respond back to there. You add time onto the time bank there. They finished the map with 4:01. It was an insane performance from them. And honestly, you just look at all the plays there from this Faceit team. Blanks really made its hazard work. Grant Butcher made it work as well, but you start to see a lot more from WB and Q there for Faceit that round. And again, you're just looking for a little bit more, especially on that first round there from Factor X, where they got rolled, I think is the politest way to say it.
Yeah, I think that is the polite way to say it, because it's really unfortunate, all things considered. But still, you got to find a way here. It's literally as simple as that. They found a way to do it on map 1. They got to do the exact same thing here if they want to take it to a 5th map, put themselves in a better position. But one thing we do know to help themselves out here, as we know are going to Runasapi, the Mauga has been selected and taken away here by Factor X.
And honestly, I think Factor X, I think this means we're just going to see that Diva back out from Butcher, which I think was something that we wanted to see last map. Got banned out, though. So really good play there by Faceit to do that. So, but that still leaves the hazard there. I think Blanks finally got it finally found something with the hazard to be able to make it work here. But will it work against the Diva? We can go back to map 1 and say, like, it really didn't there, but it's gonna be really interesting to see what we see get banned out here now from Faceit. Do they go after that support line? Do they go after a DPS hero? Because I mean, maybe the only one you would potentially get rid of just because you don't want to have the element of surprise would be the Bastion, but not necessarily the best pick here, especially on Runasapi.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the most ideal thing in the world. We'll see what the session ends up being, as, again, DM Cyber remain on the benches by the looks of it. Looks like this is going to be the 10 players we see for the entirety of the night.
Hey, there's still one more map, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it'd be crazy if, like, map 5, both of them just get put in. Just would be kind of funny, actually.
Hey, they got back just in time for map 5, but still a lot has to happen here for Factor X to be able to force that map 5 here. Granted, after that first round, Hunter, you could say they looked a lot better, but I mean, still that overtime right there, it was really difficult for them. 4 minutes was going to be hard to do no matter what, but it just the staggers that came out there really, really hurt them. However, Mauga being banned out by Factor X, Faceit immediately responds, getting rid of the Lucio, which hasn't been the biggest problem for both teams. We've seen a lot of Juno here tonight. I don't even think we saw a Lucio last map at all from either of the teams. So, I mean, this seems like one that you just don't really want to see the speed here on this map. And I think they're trying to slow down Butcher, because I think if you're Faceit, you're really heavily expecting to see this Diva come back out of here from Butcher.
I mean, you should. There should be no reason why you wouldn't expect for it to come back out. Like, everything considered, everything you've seen tonight, everything you've had to deal with, the Diva has to be pretty high up on that list of, like, hey, we don't want this. Keep this away from us as much as humanly possible. But now, there's a likelihood that they're going to have to simply deal with it. But to be fair, something else we kind of saw earlier that I think found... actually, I'm kind of gaslighting myself for a moment. But Ramatra, I think, is in one of the strongest states of tanks right now, quite frankly.
Okay, guys, let's get serious here. Thank you, WPB. And I am still staring at you, man. But yeah, Ramatra's been a really fun hero to see come back into the fold here a little bit. And like I said, maybe one of the strongest tanks right now that just doesn't get a lot of playtime, but Blanks going over to the Queen. This is a really good map for Queen. Long sightlines, Rampage is really good, and you're always going to see a lot of fights be taken in close quarters. So Gracie, the knife, the shotgun, going to be able to find a lot of value here. Volition, though, the May, I think, is going to be a make or break kind of pick here. However, you look at the other side, if you section off one person with that ice wall, there's not a lot of movement ability that they can do to get away from it.
Yeah, Gracie gonna pull him in and take him out. Ah, this is donezo. But hey, Butcher more than happy to keep them in this one right now. Finds the perfect shot right now, but unfortunately, it's a 2v1, one that I wouldn't be particularly happy to take. Or I should more say it's a 2v1 for Wormel that I would not be happy to have to take.
You decided to back out of this fight and instead just go attack the people who are coming out of spawn. I mean, it's a good play. If you find one, you immediately put your team into such a better spot here. But look, now Faceit has this lead, but still Q in that backline to cause so much disruption here, allowing everyone for Faceit to come back in. But losing Q, I think this now puts Faceit in a spot where they might just back out, give them some more space here, but Blanks maybe a little bit too far forward for that.
Maybe just a bit. I think that's a good theory, quite frankly. We'll see it's going down. Blanks, who is, desperately far ahead. Wormel, though, finds a perfect shot over on the Starry Knight. Should be able to send this fight down to the drain. Blanks is going down, though. Butcher clutched up that last fight, unfortunately. Don't know if they'll be able to do the same here. We're back into a 2v3. Pulse Bomb misses for Q. There's a lot of sustainability between, a Ramatra as well as a May right now, as Vagrant is finding out with a first-hand appearance where Wormel gets tossed out, and now Vortex taking him down, and suddenly they pull this fight back.
I mean, you could still really take care of Butcher here. The Annihilation is ready for them. But, I mean, you talked about here, Hunter, especially with a lot of the changes that happened with Ramatra this season. They are going to slowly, and actually, no, not slowly, quickly become maybe one of the most meta tanks in the game here, which is how much utility they added to it here. Annihilation is online. I would not be surprised if they use it here, especially as they near the checkpoint.
Yeah, big freeze over onto Blanks. That's going to be able to, like you said, cause that checkpoint. And I would love to escape out of there. Will not be given such a privilege, as Q would love to take this point away, as Volition running out of resources right now. Actually, you can say the same thing for Butcher, who's trying to hold on to the best of their ability, as this point eventually, I think it's going to start staggering out here momentarily as soon as this tank gets back, as Blanks will be here, and poor Butcher, yeah, buddy, not getting out of that one alive.
And, I mean, granted, I think Forik and Butcher will be able to really get these forward spawns back here. Volition and Starry Knight, the only ones who use ultimates in that fight here. You're going to see a pretty heavy ult fight right now come out from both these teams here, as especially if you're Factor X, you do not want to allow, I think, Faceit to get any kind of momentum going here. And Volition fighting WPV is huge, as you get rid of the only ultimate that was really ready for them coming into this entire engagement.
Yeah, and now, honestly, you could just go in with Rally in this next fight if you really wanted to. And I think they're really considering his Pulse Bomb's thrown out. Doesn't find any recipients. Blanks is so close to going down. Will go naturally down, but Volition being gone, that's a trade where, honestly, that's a tough one, quite frankly. Volition's been really big, but Fizzy, again, who was, like, I think maybe, like, the MVP of Map 1, is finding their footing again.
Yeah, it is what you needed here, but I think Butcher so far on this Ramatra has been a little bit too much for Faceit to really handle here. Granted, you have 4 ultimates coming online here for Faceit. You're in a really good spot. 3 ultimates online here for Factor X, but Volition and Starry Knight have been really building up their ultimates quickly here. This could be a huge ult fight coming out here. Remember, no Lucio, no beats here, but the Suzus are going to be big for both these teams. Actually, no, the Suzus are only going to be big for Factor X.
That's all you need right here, as you're going to let it loose right here. Catches onto 4 whole bodies, but somehow none of them are dead yet. They're going to hit this, and they're going to go in, and now Butcher's hanging around, still manages to somehow live through all of that, but the cart has been stolen away, and that bot is long, long gone for right now.
I mean, hey, you'll take that. You will gladly take that. Granted, you use your overclock and your rampage right there if you were Faceit, but look at what we got from the other side. You got rid of the rally, you got rid of their own overclock here, as okay, that was a little bit too close for comfort, but still I think right now Blanks need to back up. Them pushing up this far, especially with only 1 support right now, is not necessarily the way to go. And Butcher again, Hunter, we're halfway through the map. This is still the Annihilation they had since basically a minute and a half into this one.
Yeah, I mean, you're waiting for the right moment. Annihilation, you can really just pull it any time. but they haven't entered a state where they feel like they can win a fight where they absolutely had to pull it. We may be entering that point, though, as Freeze comes out. Oh, poor Vagrant, buddy. There was no getting out of that one. Blanks is also now fully separated right here, eventually going to be burnt away as well, as Butcher is just going to sustain through all of that big-time damage as Endai. No hope there, as they will be burnt away. 100+ meters is going to be online here. It's going to grow, and now it's becoming very dangerous here for Faceit.
And that time bank already halfway gone. And I mean, Factor X showing us that team we saw back on map 1 where they were able to take it to Faceit fight after fight after fight, and now Faceit looking very much lost here. Hunter, I think at this point, if we see a next map, we might just see the Ramatri being banned out, but Blanks knocks Butcher out of the Blizzard.
Oh no, and now you pop Annihilation. Blanks is just running for their existence right now, and you're eventually just going to have back your Nemesis form. You take, honestly, I'll say a reasonable trade, because again, you're going to lose this fight likely eventually, as Blanks is going to have a little bit of help coming their way. Vagrant going to pop over on here, and Q taking care of Starry Night should solidify this one as being done and dusted away. But honestly, if I'm anybody, I'm just dying on this point, because now 4 minutes left. You are in prime time as Butcher just pops back in just to die, as 126 meters is insane.
116 meters, the difference right now, 3 minutes, 40 seconds. A lot of time here. Basically, 1 or 2 fights gets them, or probably 1 fight here, gets them these forward spawns, and then another one right after that puts them within striking distance of necessarily the lead here. But you need to have a lot of stuff go your way right now. That Terror Surge is about to be online here, or online for Blanks, as well as that Orbital Ray from Endai. That could be something that really opens a lot here. Terror Surge, though, out from Blanks.
Yep, and it finds everything you needed to right there, and now you're going to clean up shop. And the important part is, all these deaths happening, those forward spawns about to be taken away momentarily here. It's actually a really good job potentially stalling up long enough for somebody to get forward spawns, as they weren't even active in the first place. Hunter is a gaslighter.
Yeah, I mean, but right now, though, this could be a really interesting opportunity right here for Faceit. You could get forward spawns here if you decide to push up a little bit. You have some ultimates to really play with that, but you don't want to do that. There's going to be at least one more fight here to get these forward spawns, but you need a lot to go your way in that fight. Blizzard's about to be online for both sides. I'm really looking at WPB here. This Override Protocol hasn't really found a lot of value throughout the night. This needs to be the one for them that finds the most value, but that Vortex is pulling them straight down.
Yeah, big freeze coming online, catches on to 2 big boys right now. The question is, can you take advantage? The answer is a definitive no, we cannot. And now Butcher's just going to try to build up to some charge. Would love to take one on the way out, but it's going to be kept away as forward spawns should be locked in here for the squad, as poor Fizzy is going to die quite late.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily matter at this point. Now look at this. Factor X making some swaps. They're feeling the pressure now. That lead that they had, not so comfortable anymore. But one thing you can't take away from the last fight is, you know for a fact there that Faceit invested a lot. I don't think they know that Vagrant's not that far away from a rally here. Butcher, though, this Annihilation might have to use it a little bit earlier this time around, as they need to get something going back their way. They need a fight win desperately here with 100 seconds left to go.
And desperately is definitely the right word right now. Butcher's going to drop through and has to immediately pop a Nemesis for. I'm going to pull a lot of bodies down. Annihilation is something you might have to consider once you post this corner over here, as everyone can simply get out, push back with the spear as well. Fizzy, I should have said, it definitely popped it. Unfortunately, just didn't find any value out of it. Butcher, maybe considering this if you can't burn down Vagrant, but they managed to do so, as well as Blanks doing their best to keep him in. And unfortunately, you're going to use this as you walk into Blanks. Butcher is just hard separate, has to give it up just so you can manage to stay in your form, get your Nemesis back. It's to stay in the fight, and it looks like this one should eventually come to an end. But to be honest, this thing isn't even like fully decided yet. They're still hanging about.
No, it's not. I mean, I like what we're seeing here from Faceit. They need to keep this pressure up here, but without your tank, you really cannot do that. You now need to be finding that exit out here right now. Yeah, you have 4 of the members back, but losing 1 right here really ruins everything. And there goes WPV, who was not that far away from an Override Protocol. Endai, that Orbital's not going to be a part of this fight, but Blizzard from Key might be huge.
Against nobody, though. It's causing separation, though. I can tell you that much. But honestly, separation might not be enough to clutch this up for you, as now 35 seconds on the clock. The wipe comes through, and now plethora of ultimates going to be around the corner for both these squads.
I think everyone's going to get the forward spawns here for Faceit. That's going to be a huge play now for them. Granted, they only have the Orbital Ray and the Override online, and you look at the other side, Kitsu and the Overclock about to be online here for our Factor X here. This is a very winnable fight for both sides. Losing the Blizzard early on is not what you want to see. Honestly, if you're Factor X, take this fight. Try to force out these ultimates.
They're kind of hanging about. They're hiding away as eventually, yeah, they are going to have to simply back off in total. The thing is, you have another fight buffered. You can lose this next fight. The biggest thing at the end of the day is forcing this out of Endai. Getting this Ray away. That's what you have to do. So definitively. But the problem is they're giving up a lot of space right now, all things considered. They're just simply going to pull that corner with everything that they've got. And Fizzy needs to find some bodies here, and now is hanging around the back, but hasn't found anything yet. But unfortunately, the rest of the squad is doing that job for him, and just like that, Factor X more than happy to bring us to a 5th and final map to end the series.
And what a series it has been. Factor X forcing a map 5 again. We came into the night talking about they really needed a series victory to get them out of that automatic relegation spot. While on the other side, Faka, they needed a victory to keep themselves in that playoff contention. And now map 5? Hunter, like we said so many times throughout this series, this roster for Factor X, on paper, it is a good roster. They've just struggled throughout the season. I think they're putting it together right now, but we have also seen it a lot throughout the night that Faka has had their number multiple times here. And we're going to be solving it on a dive map as we'll be heading over to Rialto. But this is a dive map to some, a poke map to others. Or you could just play the Malga. That's definitely on the table here for both these teams, but it's going to be really interesting, especially, like, do you get rid of the Ramatra here? I think that might be a smart move for Faka, but you leave that Diva there. It's going to be really interesting to see what Faka gets rid of here.
Yeah, fascinating is the word I will use here. We do know they're going to take us over to Rialto, though, as y'all can see momentarily. And I don't mind, Rialto is a bit of a funky place, but to be fair, I kind of like it. I think it opens up the door for a lot of possibilities. I think maybe it opens the door for, honestly, Volition, maybe more than anybody else. Never mind. Far's gone. I take back my comment.
Far is gone. I'm surprised, honestly, that this is the ban from Faka. I thought Ramatra would be a little bit of a better one. Diva already can't get rid of that here since they banned it out once. Getting rid of the Far, though, is interesting. It really is. Yeah, Volition has been someone that has really only shown the Pharah here tonight, and this is a great map for the Pharah, especially with getting a lot of that burst damage, which Pharah is really much known for at the moment. So getting rid of it here, smart move by them. But what does Factor X get rid of? I think you go after a tank here. You can't get rid of the Malga, though. So what do you focus in on?
A little tough, isn't it?
You can't get rid of the Orisa either. You have to remember, they banned that out map 1.
Yeah. We'll see what it is momentarily, though. No guess is going to be needed.
Hazard.
Honestly, to be fair, Hazard's been used so frequently in the series. I don't hate it, and honestly, I don't know it's been working out like that well for either team. In fact, Factor X like pushed themselves back into that Numbani initially by work on the Hazard, quite frankly. So like, I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, but you also have to remember the flip side of that coin. Blanks looked incredible on the Hazard on Numbani. So you want to make sure that Blanks doesn't have that kind of performance here. I think you're okay with Blanks playing this Orisa, playing maybe the Malga here again, but what do we see from Butcher? I think that's going to be the very interesting thing here. This is also one of those maps where you can see hit scans find a lot of value. Widow, this is definitely one of her more preferable maps, having long sight lines where really the only counter to a Widow is potentially another Widow on the opposite side. But I think you're seeing your answer right now from Blanks. Seeing that Orisa here again. Butcher, though, like I said, this is a dive map. This could be a poke map. Looks like they're going to make a little bit of a poke map here. And honestly, the rest of the comp for Factor X is saying, yes, we are going to be playing a heavy poke here. Fizzy is going to be trying to find a lot of value here very early on.
Yeah, there's two real big stages to the way this comp is going to work, because you have the definitive long range from Fizzy, and plus the kunais, which, by the way, no fall off for Starry Night, and Butcher be able to help out as well. But you have Bullish in there to aid Butcher in holding on to that big initial corner. That, to be fair, we have seen teams been held on endlessly. I know we've had our fair share of comp games where attack or defend, the cart never went beyond that point.
But I don't like the spot that Fizzy's in. Never mind. Okay. Disregard everything I just said, Fizzy. Apparently, I did not know your game.
That is a little Fizzy OW right there, as Wormhole just has to go and, unfortunately, take that reset instead. But hey, bright side here, at least for this Flocka squad. They're still inching forward this cart one thing at a time, but Q gets taken out with the orbs as poor Blanks would love to get out of here alive. It looks like they will be able to.
Yeah, they're able to get out alive right there. That's a huge, honestly, a huge play. If you lose Blanks right there, that's a full reset that would have to come out there from Baka. But now, if you're Factor X, you have this corner and you have Fizzy hitting shots.
Shot after shot. 100% so, as Fizzy's going to try to run for it. First of all, he gets taken out. Second, nearly takes himself off the edge. But at the end of the day, it's really about trying to force them back around that corner and make them play there instead. And that is what has been done here. But Volition, who is struggling to stay alive, quite frankly, is able to just barely stay in this.
I don't think you understand how important the Mei actually is in this composition right now. The Ice Wall is going to be able to slow down Blanks here a lot. You see them get a little bit of pressure there on the WV on that high ground. But WV shuts down Starry Night, who has been a constant performer for this team throughout the entire series. And look at the fallback that comes here now from Factor X.
100% it does, and now Fizzy is going to go all the way around and take the long angle. Would love to find somebody massive right here, but they find out immediately and they push him out. That's insane right there. Q's on the outside, gets hit with like 4 directs in a row by Volition and manages to outdo the healing. And now this is becoming very, very winnable right now as they have this freeze ready in the back line. Blanks is down, and now half this time gone, and they're still being shut down. Wow, what a wall. And Fizzy, the shots.
Fizzy is just trying to take over this entire lobby at the moment. And look at the ultimates online here already for Factor X. Granted, Kiyu making the swap here over to the Mei here will be the only reason they don't have ultimates ready to go as well. So this could be a pretty heavy ult fight. Half the time bank gone here for both these teams. Honestly, the Blizzards are going to be important for both these sides, but you have Gold Form and Suzus for each that can really get them out of it. Override, though, out from WBB early.
Yep, trying to force Volition into freeze. That you managed to do. It forces Volition to jump out of it, and Normal just baits them into running, and that works out perfectly. And now Fizzy needs to find a shot right here, right now, to try to even this thing back up, but it's just getting mega forced out, and now it could be on Butcher right now, who's looking for a really good target to let loose, but gets stunned out. Fizzy's taken care of, and now Butcher thrown off that point. Would love for a retouch, but such shall not be afforded. Here's Volition taken out late, and that is going to be the push through eventually coming in line for Faka.
And again, that all started with WBB's override protocol right there, and just baiting Fizzy to pop that ice block, force them out, and them dipping out of the ice block. Okay, who DC'd?
Well, I don't know. I'll say Fizzy for no reason. Vagrant. With Vagrant had
again. Yeah, we saw this last map. But again, WBB's override protocol right there was the thing that really won them that fight because it forced Volition to use their ice block, and then they just baited them there. They really did. They turned away, waited that one moment, got the bait. Our Volition took the bait, got out of the ice block, and then WBB got rid of them there. Granted, yeah, there's a lot of other ultimates used there by Faka, but just getting rid of Volition and that Blizzard was so vitally important to that fight there for them is the reason they have this first point now. And I mean, you look over at Blanks, has the Terror Surge online. However, unfortunately, I believe Vagrant did have an ultimate ready. So that one is gone.
Yeah, not the best of circumstances, I can tell you that much. But either way, they're going to have to find a way to get through this without that ult. And to be fair, while they're walking into a lot, there's a very real reality that Blanks is going to be able to cause for at least one of these to get used in exchange. Because so far, they have been very aggressive with Volition's freeze. I imagine this next one is going to be no different.
Yeah, Fizzy made the swap for a brief moment. Going right back over to the Widow, though. Believing they maybe have another chance here to provide some early picks here. But still, it's going to be very, very important here now that Fizzy's not necessarily the first one to die. Really, you don't want anyone to die first right now if you're Factor X, but you have these ultimates here. Honestly, it would not be surprising if once they get past this bridge here, Hunter, the choke, that Butcher just pops the flux.
Yeah, and I know right now you're pushing some bodies there right now. Remember, Blanks does have this ready to go as you're to see being pulled up as they're going to use the ult to get out of it. Takes out Brick. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen before. That's insanity. As they're going to push everybody back. Volition is now on the other side of a wall as poor Butcher, nowhere to go, will be burnt away, and this second point should be all but capped in here. And I genuinely have never seen that been done before. I don't know how.
It was an incredible play there by Blanks, and now what was looking like a really good first point hold for Factor X falls apart. It really does. All the momentum or confidence they maybe built up on that first point now just erased here. Butcher going back over to the Ramatra. We saw them make this Ramato look incredible last time, and get rid of Q here early on, so you don't have to worry about a Blizzard, but you might have to worry about another override protocol here.
Well, you said it yourself right there. Actually, both are quite something to worry about right now. Vermel is trying to find literally anything right now, is just hoping and praying. He's going to be able to force everybody into a weird scenario. Volition will have to get out of there alive, and that they shall do. But Fizzy might not get as lucky trying to run away. Barely escapes out of there.
I'm going back over to the Bastion is really interesting because, yeah, a lot of damage can come out from it, but you're such a big body target that you put yourself in the spot, and they didn't get the beat.
Yeah, they did not. It might not matter too much, though, as Freeze comes out here from Q. Causes momentary separation, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough. Big pick on the Volition. Unfortunately, I think with the deaths that are still coming through, I don't know if it's going to matter a ton here, as Blanks needs to run for their life. If they're burnt away, it would be disastrous. But for the time being, they're hanging around with Fizzy on this Bastion. It is definitely hard to escape from.
I mean, right now, Factor X, your main goal, stop the card, but if you're going to give up a couple fights here, at least whittle that time back down, and you're doing a good job of that so far. You have Consumer Rush online, and though has a Sun to throw you, and they're going to throw it at you right now.
Yep, and you're going to get at least one with this right now. You realize Volition's going to go in the thing soon as Fizzy is going to get soloed with it. Honestly, I don't hate it. Fizzy is still alive, my god. Eventually goes down, and now there is 2:25 left on the clock. Butcher goes down, but to be fair, you have a good Annihilation going into this fight, and Blanks already has built up to another Terror Surge here.
Another Terror Surge. I think the more impressive thing is WV. It's about to have another Override Protocol online here. The ultimates that you have online now for Factor X are not going to be enough to really sustain you through a lot of this here. You need some early picks. Again, that's been kind of the name of the game here for Factor X throughout this entire night. Find that first early pick, Deathball into a fight when after that. The artillery can come out here from Fizzy early on, but Blank's going to be able to get out.
Yeah, no one going down as an exchange right there. Still, biggest thing you can do right now, you have Annihilation around this corner. It's all you have for the moment. Maybe you get to your freeze. But honestly, if I'm Vagrant, I'm pulling this thing in about 3 seconds and letting it loose over on the point. That they will. Blanks going to bring all they got into exchange. Pulling in 3 bodies. Is going to carry off nobody definitively, though, as Butcher, remember, does have the ability to go in on this point. Now, Bullish going to try to hit the freeze right there. Annihilation going to be used, but to be fair, Butcher's in deep. No one else is able to hang around. Blanks is eventually going to clean things up, and it's Starry Night with the last touch from. We're going to clean things up. 1:22 on the clock, and Faka hoping to keep their tournament lives alive.
I mean, if you're Factor X, this is not the result you were looking for here, especially with how that first point hold was going for the longest of times right there. It looked like, honestly, if they win that final fight that we saw there on first point, they are most likely holding. That was a pretty heavy ult fight there from both teams, but you saw 3 be invested there by Faka, only 2 by Factor X. Factor X was setting back up for a retouch right there, but they just lost the fight. And they just get rolled over on second point, and not necessarily rolled over on third point. 1:22 is a respectable time for this map, as this is a difficult map to complete, but it's doable here for Factor X. And again, you have to go back to what we saw on Numbani, that 4-minute and 1-second time back that Faka got. You don't look at that time back right now if you're Factor X. You just look at completing the map, force an overtime, give yourselves a shot here. That's what they are looking for right now. And coming out of the gate, Blank sticking on this Orisa. Again, the Orisa was banned out map 1, and I think right now we're seeing why it was banned out. Blanks has made this hero look incredible throughout the night, but Endai and Vagrant, again, we haven't talked enough about the supports. They have been doing such a good job there. Endai, 6,500 healing. I mean, for the attacking side, that's a lot of healing right there for them, but WPB and Kiyu doing their roles perfectly here. Right now, though, Fizzy's taking on this Widow. Again, boom or bust. You're looking to find that boom here early on, because 1 pick is all they need to open the floodgates.
Yeah, that's all they got to get going for them right here. But still, no one's going to give Fizzy the time of day. Realistically speaking, right? Certainly not going to be the case. But one thing we do know is that Blank still has to be careful. You can get consistently body shot every like 2 seconds, full power from a Widowmaker. You can be burnt down very quickly as a direct result of all of this massive damage. That's why it's played so carefully and throw so many resources over into your Orisa to keep them going. But you see this is going well for the time being. It's really going to be down on somebody like Fizzy, or even Volition in some senses, to find somebody as Fizzy missed the hook. Fizzy missed the hook.
I think that there goes the Widow right now. They need to make the swap. They need to focus in on this fight and the rest of this map. That was just unfortunate. The Winston coming out now from Butcher. Fizzy making the swap. Starry Night able to get back into the spawn. Volition, almost a whole comp swap coming out here now for Factor X. They want to try to just pounce on this team, and they want to do it really, really quickly.
I definitely would love to right now. It's a little bit of Winton Gaming, and honestly, I don't mind it. That means you're going deep. This is genuine old school Factor X right here, like with like Genji, Winston, Kiri. I absolutely love it. Fizzy makes the swap as well, and why not? You need to throw something at the door here, try to burn down this backline, especially Vermal, who has been a force thus far to have to deal with right here, but Butcher is forced so far back, eventually he's going to be able to get back with the rest of the squad. Fourier is just going to get burnt down, unfortunately, but Fizzy is making a really big difference as they're playing a ring around the rosy as Blanks eventually has got to make their way back over towards the point where, unfortunately, they are going to be slowly whittled away here.
Fizzy again making the swap. This has been a spark plug player for this team throughout the entire series. Almost gets Kiyu, but they're gonna pop that ice block, and now the sun. They're throwing the sun.
What? And it's
Oh
working.
my
That's the
goodness!
crazy part. It's working. Oh, and absolutely crazy player, by the way. Still alive. Finally goes down, but I think the damage is done here. Yeah, you can't stay in this.
I mean, Butcher is going to have Starry Night. They have that Consumer Rush online, but Blanks is going to be chasing them down here. That time bank no longer really your friend here, as this is a really rough spot for the attacking team if they lose a fight to get back to it. Override, though, out from WBB.
Yeah, Fizzy going to try to let this one loose right now as trying to find something up there right now and finds the direct over onto Fizzy. Exactly what you needed. Now the question is, what are you willing to risk to potentially win this fight right here? And the answer is, I don't think you're willing to risk much, especially after that hit right there. They're going to be burnt away. It's another fight done and dusted here, as despite what's been used, there's still so much ready here for Faka.
And Butcher barely getting out with their lives, but still, you have Terror Surge, you have your own Kitsu, you have your own Blizzard. The Blizzard's gonna be the most important thing in this fight for Faka. The other side, you only have a Sun, and you have that Consumer Rush. You're gonna be waiting here for that Primal Rage and that Blade to come online, because those are probably your tickets to winning this fight here if you're Factor X, but still, one early pick could just be the difference maker.
And you see right now, Endai being forced back over on the bridge. Fourier trying to help out as much as they can. Cinder Rush is going to be thrown out into space. Remember, it's 40 seconds left over on the clock. Fizzy is pushed back all the way as Fourier is going to let this one loose. Trying to find any target. Starry Night is going to go down. Kentosun trying to find any kind of targets. Unfortunately, not a whole lot to be found right here as Fizzy has to completely back out. Unfortunately, has to die as well. And Butcher might be forced to hit the Primal Rage out here. I don't know if you get out of this alive.
You might be able to find Q. I think the Primal Rage, yeah, now can definitely come out. Volition is still around. That Blade is online for them. They might need to force it here. And yeah, there it comes out right now. It needs to find one. It needs to find two, but you need to find a touch as well.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get back in time, but it's a weird scenario because Blanks is still hanging out. He's going to be able to sustain for a moment. Gets rid of one. Unfortunately, can't get rid of another. And unfortunately, while they will try to touch one more time, such will not be available. It's going to be Factor X with the overtime keeping themselves in this one. And for them, they have found new life, but can they take advantage of it?
I mean, they're doing a good job of it right now, finding some late staggers, especially on the Q, who I honestly thought there for a moment was just going to chuck the Blizzard at that fight, see if it was going to find anything. But look at Faka right now. Blizzard, Terror Surge, Sun, Override Protocol, all online here. They're in a good spot. For Ray going over to the Cat, of all things. Ooh. It seems like they're trying to set up a play, but it might be a little bit too late for some experimentation here.
Yeah, experimentation is definitely the word right here. And it's weird. Freeze is going to come out here. Butch actually gets given a perfect cleanse. Is going to stay alive as a result. At least momentarily is going to stay alive as they'll run out. And the wall, honestly, may have stopped potential damage to take care of him. But either way, Bullishing goes down anyway. They have to wait as Fizzy is lucky to still be hanging about. They need to find a big opening, but that can't happen when you're staggering these Lelims like this.
And while I would like to say Farek needs to make the swap, they're not gonna. Look how close they are to that catnap. That's at least one guaranteed pick if you find it onto the right person. But still, 3 ultimates online right now for Faka in a really good spot. While you only truly have 1 or 2 about to be online here for Factor X. Not the time bank on your side anymore either. You need to find something here, and you need to find it quick.
You do. Catnap still ready to go right here, but honestly, Volition needs some care big time because now this combo works a very awkward way together as Sun is ready to go, but there's no real targets actually. He finds absolutely nothing now as Forik has to hide away. Is literally like hiding away in the corner. There's nowhere else to really go right now, as they're just kind of chipping away, but they haven't found anything yet. This is just burning clock, and you're so happy if you're Faka right now because now Butcher isn't super deep. They don't have any realistic care for them. They're wiped away again. Now they're 1 fight away from keeping themselves alive.
Yeah, And again, you need quick resets there from everyone on the side of Factor X just to have this one more chance. Fizzy now, boom or bust. It's make or break time on the Widow. One pick opens up so much. They're trying to find the spot. They don't. Instead, they lose one. The only ultimates they have, but they find a trade.
Yeah, it's a good trade, all things considered. No, what? Q shoots them from across the entire point. And now it could be them hoping to end this one. Oh, they're going to get pulled in. Blanks is hanging around. Rumble's going to come back over, but the question is there even a touch? Freyak is going to go all the way around. Would love to get a little something. It's going to get pushed back. The overtime is not activated. Factor X, they give it their all, but they will be cut down in this map 5. Exchange and Faka keep their tournament lives alive.
Keep their playoff hopes alive. That's the best thing that could have happened here tonight for Agave Faka. Factor X, so close yet so far away here tonight. I mean, you can go back to maps like Numbani and maps like Surabasa, or especially Surabasa, where they just kind of seemed out of their league there throughout the entirety of it, but they fought back on Numbani, and they fought back in a lot of these other maps. They made it a really, really close series. It's unfortunate that they end up losing this one here tonight, and it's also just unfortunate. This is now 2 of the last 3 games have ended in a map 5 loss.
Yeah, it's such an unfortunate set of circumstances, but to be fair, this is a team that's trying to find their footing very late into the season, try to get some kind of wins to help their position. And to be fair, I think the hope of staying in is no longer with them. But to be fair, if we're back in the same case we were last time, there's going to be qualifiers. And since there's not an open, they would be able to compete in qualifiers regardless if that ends up being the case. So this is just one of those scenarios where they got to figure it out. Again, we've seen them have so many good points and put on so many good games and keeping them close. But something's got to be done with this squad to help improve. And they've made improvements throughout the season. I think that's very definitive. They made this team stronger. And it shows in some of these games that were a lot closer than maybe they would have initially been. But the biggest thing you can do, go back to the drawing board. You get what? You get the one more game of this season to finish things out.
And it is against Phantom Fatties, which is one of those other teams that is currently fighting to stay above that that relegation spot right here if there is an open tier. So that could be a very interesting one. Might honestly be a game for that relegation spot here. However, you go over to the other side, a huge win here tonight for Agave Faka, puts them up to 5-4 on the season. Again, still leaves them in a good opportunity for the playoffs here. But now you have to just kind of look ahead at what they have here. 2 more games. Element Heaven next Wednesday. Now, just based off what we've seen from Element Heaven, this should be a very winnable game for Agave Faka. But then you have the Battle of the Cutlery in their final game of the season as Agave Garfo will take on Agave Faka. And it could be just something that like last season where both those teams were honestly fighting for a playoff spot very, very late. Agave Garfo still has a lot of more games left to play compared to Faka here, but Faka is in a much better spot currently.
Yeah, much better spot, everything in consideration. And right now, the way this schedule is the rest of the way the standings are right now, we can say a couple things solidified. Pisco Sour, locked in. Heist, locked in. And now I can confirm Micro locked in place. They'll be in that top 4 as well. And now it's a rush between 4 teams to get into this final position. And Ragnarok could play absolute spoiler to all of them. And all they have to do is beat Element Ice. If they beat Elemental Ice, nothing else matters at that point besides potential seeding issues. That's all they need to do. But if they don't win that game, if Ice win, this plunges into complete chaos.
Yeah, it really does, especially when you look at Agave Garfo's remaining schedule here. They have 4 games in 5 days next week. Starting off with, they have Element Heaven on Saturday coming up here. So they have Element Heaven tomorrow. But then starting on Monday, you have Micro. Tuesday, you play Phantom Fatties. Wednesday, you play Element Ice. And then Saturday, the last game of the regular season, up against Agave Faka. So, again, there could be some chaotic things that happen if Element Ice beats Ragnarok.
Yeah, things get really insane from that point on. And, hey, if we get to cover that game, we'll definitely find a way to be able to do so. Because that is on... Tell me that's a day that's doable. No, it's a Sunday. Can't do it. Well, it's 9 o'clock. Someone will do it. I'm sure we'll find a way. Someone will. Not me. But it's either way. this was a really good game. This was better than I think I had many hopes
Yeah.
of it being, like a super close game, that is. And I'm happy it was, ultimately, for the sake of both of these squads, especially Factor X, who, again, I want to see them continually come back and keep improving, getting stronger. And with Faka, a team that always finds a way to somehow be a contender in staying in those playoffs and staying in. Remember what was it, season like 6? They barely stayed in. They went from that to like last season coming down to the wire to put themselves in the playoffs. They've made great improvements. We'll see if they can get top 4. It's gonna take a lot, but for them it is still doable. But with that being the case, Dex, we don't have a lot of time until our final series of the night. Here we have Vivacity taking on the Dill Ducks themselves. So that'll be starting here in about half an hour's time. I'll just keep the stream up at this point. So if you want to hang around and tune in for this game, it'll be online at the top of the hour. If not, have yourselves a good night. We'll see you next time for some more Faceit League action. We'll see you shortly. Everybody, welcome, and thank y'all for being here for the final game of this very, very long evening. We have two teams that honestly, for all intents and purposes, might be two sides of the same coin going into today. Vivacity taking on Dildux, the former team that has come up through Expert and Dex. No discredit to any Expert team that has come up, but in recent history, not a ton of success has come through from them, but Vivacity has gone in today. They have looked like a powerhouse this season amongst powerhouses.
Yeah, they really have, and it's been probably the best story and biggest surprise so far of this entire season. On the other side, though, you have the Dildux, a team that's been around Faceit League. Granted, not necessarily the last couple seasons, as they were an OWCS team up until, well, this stage here. But still, this is a very good roster. Frothy Philly, Carmes, Snoll, Red X, Baz. You also have Crawl and Palouette on the bench. So, I mean, those are still really good players here. But right now, let's focus a little bit more on Vivacity. Like you said, they are essentially the story of this entire season. Right now, sitting 7-2, standing atop of the records here in this Faceit Masters tier. However, I think they're in their gauntlet right now. They had a very favorable schedule for them to start off this season. Went 7-1 in that. Only drop was to the blown up and rebuilt Kintsugi team. However, they got handed their second loss on Wednesday against Team Z. And Hunter, I briefly talked with you about that one. Just looking at the stats from it, it wasn't necessarily the closest of series. So Vivacity, I think, has a little bit more of a favorable matchup here tonight against the Dildux, but it's going to need to be something where they show us a little bit more here tonight, because one more win, I think, puts them in a safe spot for playoffs, while two more wins guarantees them a spot in playoffs.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant difference when you think about it. How close the margin really is right now for them to actually get through and lock themselves into playoffs. But for Dildux, it feels like they're in the same conversation. A couple more wins under their belt, and they'll be a lock-in. I think there are people that have potentially had them as a lock-in since the season started. But as we've learned very much in Faceit League, especially here in this tier, nothing is promised until you get to the very, very end. We'll see how this game goes down. Vivacity hoping to bounce back from that game. Meanwhile, Dildux hoping just to keep on charging ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Dildux coming in this one 6-3, currently third right now if you look at the standings before this game starts here in the Masters tier. And with a win here tonight, you could realistically say they would jump both Team Z and Vivacity to be that number one spot right now. However, much like earlier tonight in South America, Hunter, you know what our first map of the night will be. And again, it's going to be Lijiang Tower because it's in the map pool. You're going to see it.
It'll get picked. Find a way. Not really a shocker by anyone's imagination. If it is a shocker to you, play more Overwatch. That's the answer. But I don't mind it. We know what we're getting into. These players know what they're getting into. It's going to be a lot of the same old, but it's really the bands that we're looking forward to and what routes we want to go, because we are so far into the season now where these teams should know each other. They probably have studied each other to some degree and know what they're very likely to pull out here. As, big shocker, Pharah banned on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit in South America. Didn't see the Pharah get banned out. Actually, instead it was a Sombra, but Pharah, on Lijiang Tower, finds maybe the most value that she can find on almost any map there is. And you talk about the coaches for these two teams. I mean, yeah, they've definitely studied up. Knockfriend coaching here for Dildux. On the other side, you have Tenacious for Vivacity. I mean, they have been really good for both these teams throughout the entire season. So they are being very strategic here. And I would again be surprised that we don't see anything from the support lane be banned out here. And that's exactly what we're going to see, honestly. It's going to be the Lucio being banned out here. So you go away from a lot of that poke burst damage that the Pharah provides and now you get rid of the speed that the Lucio that provides. You're either going to be playing Juno or you're going to try to be playing these slower comps. And I think that's going to be very interesting to see as we go into our first map of the night here. Eventually, just which way do we go? Because I feel like we said a little bit earlier on in South America, without the Lucio, you normally see Juno. And we did see Juno the one time that Lucio was banned out.
Yeah, maybe you're forgetting one crucial fact of all this. Red X is just going to play Cat. That's my prediction right now. Red X is just going to go in and play the Cat. He's just going to do it. Why not? Have some fun. But on a slightly more serious note, I think we are going to see these, at least one of these teams, tend to go towards that Juno instead. I think they still want to play fast, but I think this is a certain security you get from having a Lucio, especially if you're dealing with something like a Zarya potentially, where that sound barrier sometimes is the only thing that will keep you alive through that ultimate. Honestly, it might be outside of running a Zenyatta, which to be fair, probably not running Zenyatta in a Brawl Comp 2026. If you are, I need your comps. Give me your codes. Let me see what you're cooking. But we'll see what these teams are cooking as we're ready to get into our first map of the series. And this one, for me, honestly, is very heavily anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a big surprise with Velocity, 7-2 in the season right now. A win here tonight, I think, really legitimizes this team here a little bit. They have a tough schedule ahead of them, but beating the Dilducks is something that not a lot of teams have done in the past and can say they've done this season. Yeah, they already have 3 losses, but still, this is a team that, and it works, that has that experience at the highest level of Overwatch, and you have to know they're always going to be putting their best foot forward here. And I mean, you did call it, Red X is at least teasing us with the cat here, but outside that, we're seeing what we've seen a lot from Velocity. They really do like to play this Mauga, and Reaper especially. They like to really just run it down and basically see if you can out heal the damage they provide.
Red X is playing the cat. Freaking knew it. All right, well, we'll see what happens right now. They'll TP them out. Karma is likely to go over towards the Tracer instead here, as this will be genuinely very fascinating, because this is very much the Vivacity style that we're used to at this point. This very run them down, beat them down as fast as you possibly can mentality here. But we have a comp that's kind of made to get away from comps like that, you know? It's meant to stray away. But Karma is unfortunately not so lucky to get away from that one. They'll be down early on, and now point going to unlock here, and it's very likely we'll see a simple take over here from Vivacity.
And they find Snow out as well. And this is the one thing that has been impressed with Vivacity so far. Temper, when they're on it, and if they're struggling, you normally see Marcos come right back around and be able to clean up as well. Axel will be able to find Frothy Philly, but Karmas does trade it out as, I mean, Red X was over there, but it's still very much a little bit of a disjointed fight here, as I feel like Dilducks are trying to get away with something here, but I just don't know what it is just yet.
Sure, we'll find out very surely what it will be. Pressure already being delivered over towards the point. Lots of damage over onto Morlock. Eventually going to be able to get out, at least momentarily. Frothy Philly with the direct shot to put them in a really good position. The longer this fight goes on, honestly, the better it's going to be, you know, for this Dilduck squad. They have this ability to kind of hang in here and definitively keep kind of poking away and chipping away at all these cooldowns, as Fern lets loose that, and everyone just gets out of there.
Morlock now come back into the fight. However, they are away from their team. Actually gonna be able to find one.
Oh no, for Fern. Actually, Fern gets out of it. That's crazy. Fern gets out of it. And now they're still going to win the fight. 50+ percentile and counting. And things going pretty swimmingly so far for Vivacity.
And now I'm going to be staring straight at Red X right here for a brief moment. They're sticking with the cat. I'm surprised with that. But, I mean, granted, they only used the Kitsune Rush in that fight. Vivacity in a great spot right now. You're coming up to Cage, Death Blossom, and Overclock. Granted, Kitsune Rush, Deadeye, Pulse Bomb, and Bomb about to be ready here for Dilducks. So this is the fight that if you're Dilducks, you should be able to win here. But they've struggled to find early picks and Temper again.
It's insanity, and Frothy Philly just has to let it loose over on the point. 85%, you lose out on the only one you had in that moment. And now Snow decides, no, we're pulling this one back. Gets rid of 3. Close that one out as eventually just one more over on the point. Crawley gets the last 2, 94% on the board, and now Fly Noon is ready to go.
Yeah, Fly Noon is ready to go here, and yeah, they're getting set up for it right now, but it looks like Snow shot to get themselves out of the tether here. But, I mean, yep, there goes Snow up in the air. Deadeye out.
Temper. I mean, what do you say to that? Genuinely, what do you say? What was Temper supposed to do there?
Honestly, I think if you're Vivacity, you're happy that's gone. You don't have to worry about it now. And look at Vivacity. Fern's about to have another Kitsune Rush online. You're going to have Cage, Orbital Ray, Overclock, and Death Blossom. You're basically looking at Crawley to be able to do so much to eat away a lot of the damage right now. Pulse Bomb out from Karma is not going to be able to find anything. I think if you're Vivacity, you immediately just turn the pressure up to 10.
That's 100% what you're doing. You have every ult under the sun right now. You have no reason, legitimately, to have to lose this one out here right now. But still, they're taking trades. You're eventually winning the fight, as a matter of fact. But the bright side is, while you have used quite a bit to stay in this one, you get out the bomb. No Deadeye to have to deal with right now. You have a Catnap obviously sitting by now, so it's quite a bit to deal with. But you have 3 ultimates that pair together so eloquently well.
Yeah, but now you're starting to feel a little bit worried here, I think, if you're Vivacity. You allow Dilducks to get some momentum in this map, and yeah, you have a Catnap online. Frothy Philly's not that far away from their own Kitsune. And granted, yeah, you have the Kitsune Cage and Death Blossom combo here, but you're still guaranteed one fight after this Red X, so looking for that Catnap.
Yeah, and right now it's a lot of bodies in there right now. You would love to just pull the trigger. Marcus is going to find one definitive one that they need, and here comes that steal, but Red X is down just like that. Point flip is going to come through soon. Karmez, the only one alive currently, needs to stay alive. Unfortunately, won't be able to do so. Probably Red X running as fast as they can, and Red X is going to try for the initial touch. They're going to go for it, but knocked away they shall be. Vivacity take the first round away here from the Ducks.
And a good performance from Vivacity. Again, they play such a unique comp compared to anyone else here in the Masters tier that I think it really catches a lot of teams off guard. I really do think it does that. I think Dilducks were caught a little bit off guard by it. I think as well, I mean, Red X playing the cat, they made the cat look good, but still, you need a little bit more utility. And granted, you can go back to the one catnap they were actually able to get off there. If they find the pick on Fern, it's a little bit different, but Fern did enough there to keep themselves alive. And that was such a big and defining moment for Vivacity in that map. Now, though, looks like no swaps coming out from the side of Dilducks, other than Snow going over to the Sojourn. I think really to match Temper on the other side, because you have to remember, Temper found, I believe, 2 or 3 early picks, or first picks in a couple fights, and they just give Vivacity that momentum and that confidence just to play into a lot of these fights aggressively.
That's what you're really hoping for a scenario like this, isn't it? Like, realistically speaking. You're still going after the comp right now where the Ducks are going to find advantage of things like that. If you are caught out, Ducks will find a way to take you down every single time. But now Cleanse used as they have to work their way over onto the point as Axe can't even hang around for all that long. Has to immediately get out of dodge as point opens up. Ducks in a really good position to simply get this takeaway as Axe going to run in. Cleanse used very quickly here out the gate, but Snow getting close to burning away. I think barely goes around, grabs the mega health back. Croy, though, is helping clean some bodies up, and unfortunately, Axe, while you're on the point, this flip shan't be yours, as it seems like eventually the Ducks should be able to close this out.
Yeah, the Ducks are going to be able to get the first cap here right now, and if you're the Vivacity, you're trying to get out here with the rest of your members alive, and good play by them, but look at the Ducks now. They're very good setup with some ultimates. You're going to be able to get them ready to go here, but Snull going over to this Soj has been a difference maker for them, and Karmez find a little bit of value here on the Tracer has been good to get this round started.
Yeah, and Temper down early. Frothy, another excellent shot right there. As eventually, Karma is going to force their way on, and it's just going to be another slow burn to get them off the point. And now that's all you can really do, unfortunately, is eventually just take those deaths, take your reset. And for Axe, it's not working out too hot right now, but you do have a cage fight ready to go for this fight.
Yeah, that's the only thing you have, though. Look at the Dilducks. They have everything. Everything. And this is a map where if you use Catnap, I think you're okay trading out the cat just to make sure you at least throw one person off the side of the building here for the Dilducks. But you have to make sure it's the right person. Granted, you have a lot of these ultimates. Dilducks can play very aggressively here. And honestly, they should.
Yeah, and there's a thief coming through here. Thievery coming through. Morlock just gets kept in place. Doesn't get catnapped. Gets what is it? Cat arrest. House arrest is what happened right there. There is a momentary flip dex, but honestly, this is probably not sticking around any longer than 15. But to be fair, they're trying to stay in it. But Fern gets taken out by the cat, and all Axe can do is just hang in there, hope to find something. Unfortunately, it's going to be a fruitless endeavor as the point will get over to 17%. It's something, and it does get a decent amount, I guess, out of the Ducks.
Red X with 3. Red X with 3 in that fight. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, the 17% you'll gladly take it. You did trade out Kitsune's, which was a big surprise to me that Frothy Philly decided to invest that in there. I thought that Kitsune was a little bit of a waste there, especially with Fern now going over to this Brig. And they were just using it because, like, hey, we're going to make the swap here anyway. But now Vivacity's in a good spot. With some ultimates about to be online here, but you really need to keep Fern alive.
Yeah, you absolutely need to right now. Fern has been a real centerpiece of this squad forever since we've been watching them right here. But Morlock is actually the one to fall down early. And Temper needs to start finding picks now. At the very least, you need to start going over towards the point and trying to force the flip. But such a thing is not doable anymore. You just have to find a pick of your Temper. It doesn't happen. And the Ducks are so close to having themselves this wipe away. Cage Spy has to be thrown out there. Pulse Bomb over onto Axe is going to get rid of the cage directly. And this is going to be a burn away here. The Ducks are going to take us to a third round here as Mercus try their best, but the Matrix cares not for your ultimate.
a much different point here. And Dildux, I mean, I think they were a little bit caught off by surprise that first map, or that first point there, and Vivacity really took advantage of it. They took really great fights as well there. And again, I talked about it going into that point there, especially on the first point. Temper was able to find so many early picks. It gave Vivacity a lot of that momentum to really carry on throughout the fights. We didn't see that. We didn't see Marcos or Temper really find anything at all. That was a big struggle there for Vivacity. And all the swaps that, or the swap that Snoll did was essentially the only thing they did there, and it was huge for them. And right now, if you're Vivacity, is Temper going over to this Tracer now gonna be the right thing to do? I mean, you're gonna have 2 flex DPS players right now, and again, Morlock going over to the Juno, who really struggled last map. Our last point here. Again, if you're Vivacity, I feel like you're kind of picking at some strings here, especially going with this this dual flex DPS style.
Yep, genuinely so. But we'll see how it goes down. They're sticking to the same old right here. Burn back over on to the Curie, though. We'll see as Snow has to run far away. He's going to get care in the nick of time. Morlock can't say the same, though. Trade's eventually going to come through, but Fern going down is worst case scenario for this Vivacity squad, as we'll be able to see. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking a little too soon. Maybe I don't have enough faith right now, as Axe is going to be thrown back. We'll be able to get the mega health pack.
No, he didn't.
No, just didn't get it. Okay.
They didn't. And that's a huge mistake there by them, because honestly, if they're still alive in this fight, I think they have point at this moment. Temper, though, going to be able to find Snoll, so this Tracer pick already working out a little bit better for them at the moment, but still, it's going to be Dildux, I think, getting this first point cap here, because, yeah, there's the cap, but Axe not even back into the fray just yet.
Yeah, and you're going to see this initiation. Marcos is going to force them out. And he's going to get chased momentarily. Red X, Froth, and Philly both going to fall over. Looks like this is going to be a relatively short take here for the Ducks. Get it to maybe 15%, and that shall be the secret number, as you're hoping to fill off Snoll, who is just barely hanging on right here. Going to try to get out alive, but they shall not.
And here's the thing, going back over to this map of Control Center, this is a brawl map through and through. And what is Vivacity playing? A brawl map. You go over to a map like Night Market, yeah, you can play brawl there, but dive is much more preferred on a map like that. And I think that's what Dildux really took advantage of. Now you're in a close quarter spot where you're going to see this Tracer, you're going to see this Reaper and Malga find so much more value. And you're seeing that right now very early on here. Already ultimates online for both these teams, but if you're Vivacity, throwing one out here early on might not be the worst idea.
We'll see. Cat down early. Cage fight doesn't get a whole lot more, but you're going to be able to make your way back over towards the point. Initial touch comes through here. Temper lucky to still be alive as Frothy Philly down, and it's going to be a pulse. I'm ready to go for Carmex. Finds Morlock. Gets rid of 2. The bomb now forces Axe into a really awkward area. Quest to run and try to find somebody. This should have been locked in already, but now Axe is being segregated away from the entirety of the rest of the squad right here. Snow going to be able to hang around as well, but still somehow, Dex, this fight is still going on, but Croy, I think, has put it to its definitive end.
But you get the 56% right there for Vivacity. I think you're happy with that. Red X and Snoll have their ultimates online. You're going to have a Death Blossom and a Rally coming up here for Vivacity. I think you're okay with that, how that entire thing went. Yeah, you would have liked to clean up that fight a little bit sooner, but ooh, Temper almost finding Carmex would have been a huge way to get this one going here, because again, we've seen it already a lot throughout this first map. When Vivacity finds that first pick, you see him get really aggressive and always calling out their next target.
Whoa!
And there it is.
Worst case scenario, Marcos finds 2 right there. It's massive, and now there should be a cleanup coming through. Snoll gonna back out of there momentarily, but no Red X. Stall on the point is gonna be really difficult to come across right now. Snoll is now in the back line still. He's taking a lot of pressure in all fairness. This is the one with Marcos, who's honestly gonna lose out on the 1v1. They're playing so back and forth. Point gonna flip back over as Snoll now has the squad back with them.
Yeah, and Marco's not being in this fight. Death Blossoms are gone for them, and you might see a point be flipped for free. Catnap, though, I think gets cleansed.
Yeah, it does, but I don't think it's going to matter anyway. They're going to push everybody back. Axe is eventually going to be forced out as well, and now Hold kind of coming online. 2 taken out in the process, though. I don't know if you can retouch. You can retouch it. You're going to stall this thing out to at least 80%.
And I was going to get really worried that we were going to see Marcos just decide to say, like, yeah, you know what? Death Blossom might end up working here. But, I mean, Catnap didn't find its value, but you still ended up winning the fight. You got rid of the Rally from the other side as well, and the Pulse Bomb. Death Blossom, Kitsu, Cage about to be online here with Velocity. You have Bomb and Pulse Bomb ready to go here for Dildux. But you're just looking for something here again. Kitsune Rush out there early on from Fern.
Yeah. Trying to make as much space as humanly possible. Remember, Croy has plenty of things to work with right now. Trying to burn through his Axe. Needs to find somebody, potentially Carmex, who loses the 1v1. Temper gets rid of 2 now. Consider Rush is thrown out. really late as they're going to throw us in. I think Carlos just going to drop maybe the bomb momentarily, but no, I don't know if I like this. This is a lot being thrown into this fight right here. And the thing is that this is a simple retouch for the Ducks. And now they have nothing.
Yeah, the Death Blossom was not necessary right there. I think that's probably a play they always do in that situation, but they need to hold on to that Death Blossom temper now. With this Pulse Bomb is going to be the only thing they have here. You're going to need an early pick from someone, and Crawley has the remeching tool here available. You're going to need a big play.
Yeah, you absolutely need it right now because they are just running down. Temper has it ready to go. Would love to find somebody. In fact, it's not even about love. It's a need right now as Axe trying to do this to be able to stand up, trying to burn away Crawley is more like eventually going to go down, but you see how low so many people are on health, trying to slam down as K-Dow comes through, and it's the worst possible person they could have grabbed! Redx eventually going to be burned away, and the question is it going to be enough for Temper and Marcos to be able to hang around for as long as humanly possible? They need to find that blow, but instead, they're going to get pushed back harder and harder as the flip is coming through, but remember, they have time for a temporary regroup.
Yeah, they do, and they're coming up with some ultras right now. Rally could be online for Morlock. If you look at the outside, Karmas, though, might be able to slow that down. Marcos, though, needs to get out with their life. Pulse them out, not going to be able to find one, so you at least avert that, but someone needs to get touched to force overtime. Overtime will at least commence here. Morlock now, that Rally needs to be huge. Someone needs to keep Axe alive.
Yeah, flip close coming through right now. Rally is right around the corner, but Temper's down early. This is coming down to the absolute wire. Morlock needs this online, needs that online now. Goes in, it's going to force away, but it's a perfectly timed cleanse. They need to try to force this point to flip over, but Snow has found one. Is going to keep on trucking away. Marcus more than happy to keep the minutes. It is down to the big time here. Snow forced away, barely grabs the health pack here as Marcus forces them away, but still, Snow literally 1 health. This is down to the absolute wire, and I would love it no other way than that. It's just Karma's hanging on the point. Flip comes through. They're so close to making it happen. Vivacity takes the first map away from the Ducks.
And this is what I was expecting from the series. Or honestly, this is what I was hoping for to see from Vivacity this series. They went up against Team Z, a team in their last game, a team that a lot of people really expect to do really good this season. Vivacity, though, they have this game against the Dilducks here. How are they going to hold up against them? And in this first map, it looked really, really good. Dominant on 1 point. Kind of struggled on the second point, third point back and forth, but they find ways to win, and man, did they do that there, taking our first map of the night. And Dilducks really quickly want to get into the next map, say hello to Sir Vasa, and say goodbye to the Samoan.
Yeah, that is very little time wasted. Oh my god. They're like, nah, we're done with that. We're done with that Malga shenanigans. We're done with this. And honestly, can you blame them for this mentality? The answer is no. The Malga was like, take away second point, obviously. But outside of that, man, that Malga was doing some damage.
And I mean, that's something we've been seeing all season. We've covered Vivacity more than I believe any team so far this season. Granted, a lot of that has been because of teams rescheduling their games very late, and Vivacity, one of the only teams that actually somewhat kept up with their schedule. Shout out to them for that. Dilducks, the only other team that's kind of kept up with their schedule as well. But Axe has been such a difference maker here. Like, they really have this Malga comp that Vivacity runs. Like I said, one of the only teams I think fully commits to it outside of more than just one map. Vivacity, I think it's their go-to, and you're seeing it banned out here early on. I think if you're Vivacity, you love that. You love the Malgas being banned out here. You're okay with that because now you know no matter what, you have it the rest of the series.
Yeah, and you have yourself, honestly, in a really good position right here. Because Surabasa, while it is a map that I think plays extremely favorably well to that Malga, you can go into this and figuring out what Dilducks want to go down that they think they can beat you on, basically, because they do their tried and true in that first map, and it definitely has significant high points. You look all the way back on it, it was Night Market, where they just shut them down completely. If Vivacity weren't able to do much of anything that entire round, and when it comes down to the limit, it really was like this big clutch up from people like Temper, like Fern, just staying alive the entire time. Like, this is slight spoilers, by the way, for what's to come, but there's a reason why I chose Fern as one of my supports of this week, because Fern has genuinely been amazing for this squad thus far. I'm excited to see what they can do here as Dex. How you feeling about the second ban?
The Kiriko ban, I think it's great. Honestly, I think it's great. I mean, here's the thing. If Red X wants to run the cat, I think you're okay with that if you're Vivacity. The cat is not a hero that I think can turn a fight on its own. Much like some other supports, much like what a Kiriko can do. A Kiriko can turn a fight on her own. The cat not necessarily. Yeah, Red X might probably end up being the best cat player in Masters tier here in North America because they might be legitimately one of the only cat players here in Masters tier in North America. But still, the cat's not necessarily the biggest concern. If you're banning the cat out, there's something else going on, and maybe it is being that big of a concern. But you get rid of Kiriko here, I think you're trying just to force out something where, say, hey, no cleanse, maybe we see Axe come out, maybe on the one hero that wields an Axe.
I mean, it's not completely unlikely. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see it from Vivacity. Seen it in previous like situations. Wouldn't really be shocking here either. But regardless of that being the case, the Ducks, I don't see them changing a whole lot up. The question is, does the Lucio come back into play specifically for Vivacity, I would say. And I think the answer is probably yes. I would say so. Maybe both, but to be fair, if they are running the cat again, I think it'd be a little redundant to run cat Lucio, honestly.
You are right about that. You are right about that. But I think Lucio's going to come back out for both teams. Whether or not we see the cat Lucio, it'll be really interesting. I feel like it's just not enough healing to really keep you alive in a lot of fights. So if you're going to play cat Lucio, you're basically saying we have to win the fight in the first 5 seconds of it. But looks like no big swaps coming in here for either of these teams, or no subs coming in here for either of these teams. And we'll get to see right now what we're going to be seeing from them. And no, it's just going to be the Zaryas for both sides. And that's not the biggest surprise, honestly. And even with Lucio back in the fray this map, you're not seeing him. Instead, both these teams decide to stick with the Juno, which, again, especially on this map, I feel like that's something we're starting to see a little bit more often here, Hunter. Lucio, yeah, still very, very strong on almost any map. But I feel like Juno, especially with Orbital Ray and those torpedoes, just finds a little bit more value. Outside that, though, Snow showing us the Cassidy. We saw Cassidy, I believe, very, very briefly from them last map before they made the swap over to the Soj themselves. And Karmez, again, big burst damage potential coming out here as both the teams actually meeting on the far side of the point here.
Yeah, funny meeting you guys here. As Marcus is going to be forced back, but speed activated. Going to try to run them down a little bit. I think the most interesting thing in this entire lineup, though, is definitely Karmez over on this far as Snow taken down really early, which means you have to surrender this point, at least initially.
Yeah, I mean, Vivacity, again, the start they're looking for here again. They find the first pick, and who else but Temper? Again, first pick, first fight, always somehow goes to Temper. And this is exactly what you want for Vivacity. You have this advantage, start pushing up a little bit, but don't push up too far, as you already see that speed ring was invested there by Fern.
Yeah, you don't mind it too much at the end of the day as Karmez gets taken out of the air by the Reaper of all things. This is rough because they're not even, like, not a single duck has touched this point yet, by the way.
No, and who says you need a hit scan to get someone flying, to get someone out of the sky right there? I mean, essentially, Marcos is shooting bird shot up there, but hey, got the bird down. But right now, again, yeah, you said it. Diluxe haven't even, I think, sniffed the point. Hell, this might be their first time actually being on the level playing field with the point.
I would tend to agree with that. And Marcos is just taking away so much attention hanging up here. And eventually he's going to be able to back out right there. Craw is sitting super low, just needs to step back and get care. We're at 75%. And again, still, a duck is about to touch the point, maybe for the first time ever. But no, they're getting forced back further. Craw has to run around and grab the health pack instead. Marcos gets rid of a second one, gets rid of a third, gets rid of a fourth. And Craw just has to run for it. And Craw gets taken down, and not once did the Ducks touch the objective.
Crawley was the only one that was on the same level of the objective. That entire point. I mean, like, I don't think I've ever seen a point like that on Sarabasa where 4 members of the team just never even sniffed the point. I mean, great plays coming out there from Vivacity. But if you're Dilducks, you need to be thinking about making some change here, especially if you get shut down here early on. But Karmez, I think this is a much better spot for the Pharah. Orbital Ray, though, helped them from Frothy.
Yeah, and I like the trade directly back in. It'll last you a little bit longer. Fern, though, needs to stay alive. Marco's Axe, though, not likely. And you're going with the Graviton Surge. And to be fair, you're in a weird 3v3. You enter a lot, and you're going to get the cap initially. But the question is, do you have long-term sustainability with the Grav online now?
I mean, you just use both support ults if you're Vivacity. Yeah, I was going to say, Crawley's going to come in and just do exactly what they're doing right here. And hey, look, the Ducks, they have a point.
They found out what the point is. Hallelujah. And to be fair, yeah, to be fair, that was a lot using that fight. That was a 6 ultimate fight, I think. 5 or 6.
extended fight, yeah, it becomes 6, but it was really 5 with the grab being the finisher there with the extended fight. But look, both DPS ultimates online here for Vivacity. Same thing could be said here for Dilducks, but Temper gonna be able to find one.
Yeah, and Carmes tries for it and just gets shut down. Everything thrown in the face just to find something. And now you're in the 5v3. All you have to do is just burst through, force them back. They're just not going to eat the deaths. They're just going to back out, take their reset. 52, still not bad, all things considered, especially as they try something, they realize it doesn't work, they take the reset.
Yeah, and I will say this, Marco's having this Death Blossom online, this Death Blossom is actually going to be able to find a little bit more value this map than it did last map because the D.Va was just able to eat so much of it. And you have bubbles on both sides, yes, but that's really going to help out. However, Temper!
Oh my god. And yeah, Marcos is going to pull the trigger, going to burn away one, make it a second. Marcos, who has been, man, so massive for this team so far, as Croy would love to get out of here alive, but they changed their aggression over to Carmex just to make sure they, you know, get that kill locked in.
Temper and Marcus right now. Again, if this is your first time seeing this Vivacity team, where have you been? This has been one of the more fun stories of this season so far, and this DPS line is a big part of it here. Crawley already invested in one of those bubbles. The second one is out. They could be taken out here.
Yeah, now the question is, what do you do here? The answer is, I don't know if there is an answer, quite frankly. You're forced back right now. Carmes can't do anything. Just has to fall on the sword, and now it's going to be map point coming up here for Vivacity as the Ducks are just continuously, I'll say it, being bullied back.
Yeah, I mean, hell, Vivacity, like I said, they have been impressive every time we've watched them. They had a tough loss against the pre-exploded and rebuilt Kintsugi. They went up against a really good team in Team Z, and I think got their first taste of like rough defeat, and then they bounce back immediately here. But you have ultimates online here for Dilducks. If this is the fight that really gets you back in the map, this is it.
Yep, and they're not gonna be able to sustain through this one more than likely. No, Grab is just gonna burn them away, and it's just a one ultimate fight. They're gonna be able to unlock the point. It's a simple Dilducks fight. It's as simple as can be. Get that cap through, and now they're still gonna have 3 ultimates coming up on the fight. But Axe is right away at the corner, having their own Graviton surge.
Grab about to be online for them, like you said. Morlock does have their rally, but again, you look at the other side, rallies, Overclock, Orbital about to be online here for the Ducks. I mean, they're still in a good spot here to be able to kind of be smart with their ultimates. Overclock coming out here from so early on, not going to be shut down by Temper, at least early on this time.
Yeah, but Snow just keeps the aggression up. Just pulls that angle. They know they can pull it off. So they're going to. They get rid of 2 of that fight. Karma is more than happy to split the pot. His poor Axe just has to take that big reset off the edge. And to be fair, give Redix some, yeah, I don't know if the rally was already online, but if it wasn't, sure as heck is now.
It was there, but here's the thing, for the Ducks, this is what you need. 1 ult, 1 fight, 1 win. That's been the story of these last 2 fights, and look at what you have coming up here. Orbital, Rally, Death Blossom. You have Grab, you have Rally, Temper is about to have their Overclock, and Karmas is setting up for their own Death Blossom, it looks like.
Yeah, Rally thrown in, and Grab is going to catch on to 2 members, and is it going to be enough is the question. You've taken a weird trade. Morlock needs care, and now the question is, who is your definitive touch right here? Because someone is going to have to be it. Who's going to be? They're going to be stunned back. They're not going to touch. They can't get back.
And that feels like a little bit of a mistake there from Vivacity. That was a fight that you really did not need to invest anything into. Granted, I understand the uses of the Grab, I understand the uses of the Rally, but you got both support ultimates out from the other side. You have both your DPS ultimates, and you're going to be able to get set up on this next point here first, which is going to be big. But Karma is looking for this Death Blossom.
Yeah, I'm going to find something. Temper is the one trying to pop off here, though, as you see the pull right there. Rough scenario to be in right now for your Karmas, who's going to bounce back. Might hit it. Doesn't hit it. It will just back off. And, hey, fair enough at the end of the day. But the question is, I still think the Ducks might be willing to do something here. But no, they realize they want that ultimate in this next fight. So they simply give it up.
Yeah, the Death Blossom is going to be very important here for the Ducks because it's going to force out something from the other side. What is it going to be? Probably that Orbital Ray from Fern. But Marcos now, they can play aggressively here because they have their own Death Blossom. But Ducks, Death Blossom, Orbital, Grab about to be all online here for them. Orbital Ray's out early. Wow.
Yeah, Marcos is going to burn away one big boy right there. And Croy is going to run for it. Snow just gets assassinated. And it's going to be a 3K here for Marcos. And Croy gonna run away, is gonna be able to get out alive, but now 40 seconds, I think you can consider this final fight territory, and hey, no ultimates left for them though.
No ultimates left, but if you're Karmaz and you're the Ducks, you want that Death Blossom back. Granted, you have Grab, you have Overclock, you're still in a good spot, not that far away from your own orbital as well, but one pick going the way of Vivasi here, it just means your ultimates are going to have to be forced out.
Yeah. They're going to find a way to be, and they just throw everything into Axe. Honestly, I don't hate it. Try to burn this thing away. That you will do, and now it's all about just finding these last couple of picks, hoping to make this thing go to 99, but now it's less about trying to make it go to 99. It's about maybe trying to win this one, as you are eventually going to be forced away. 95 is on the board. Marcus is going to be there to be able to help out. They forced their way on, off temporarily, and Frothy is going to double down and invest, and Morlock is more than happy to throw back as well. But honestly, even though it looks like they're going to pull out of this fight momentarily, that's a big win.
That's a big win. I'm surprised Morlock decided to invest into that fight right there. I mean, they had that rally online for the next one. Now Snoll's Overclock online here. Same thing with Temper. Who's going to be able to find more value here? It's Snoll.
Massive right there, and now you need to bounce in. Marcos needs to find literally anybody here. Is right around the corner. Might pull this trigger. Is going to let it loose. Is going to take care of one. Make it two right there. Marcos is going to stay alive on top of that, and poor Karmez nowhere close to this. It's just the support's trying to sustain them through right now. Temper making their way back to try to help things out, sustain them through the fight. But you see Karma's back off. Snow jumps in right at that very quickly.
And now Axe getting very aggressively here. Karmaz, though, is in the back line. Karmaz barely going to be able to get out. Grab, though. They just want to make sure Karmaz is no longer in this fight. Point will flip over. Overtime commenced here.
That rally going to be thrown in right around the corner is going to be Fern having this ready to go. It's let on the loose. And for the Ducks, they are pushed back once more. If they're going to try to leak on one at a time, Karma's the only one anywhere close to an ultimate who's not even close to the point either. Morlock burns down another. They're going to push him back. Frothy Philly down. And it is match point for Vivacity. Oh my god.
Quick sidebar. My Preds this week are looking awful.
Bro is cooked. Go ahead.
But, I mean, Vivacity, again, we talked about the Malga being banned out here. It's going to be a big difference maker. But it's just showing you that Axe is versatile on this tank line. And still, Temper, Morlock are just able to do so much. The Ducks just kind of seem lost at points. I mean, you could go to that second point. You could go... Look at first point. I think first point is one thing that Hunter, me and you have never seen before. A team not even touch ever. Like... Me and you have seen some wild games, have casted some wild series in leagues that have gold and silver tiers. We've never seen something like that. Never.
No, it feels like we've seen a lot of first as of recent. We've seen some things. We have seen some things, okay?
Oh, for typing in all chat, join match chat.
Oh, that's so lovely.
But, again, you look at this DPS line for Vivacity, Temper and Marcos. Combining there, that's, I think, 42 elims. A huge amount. Almost doubling the amount, or not doubling, because that's 31 on the other side, but a big difference there. I mean, Karmaz, that was a very much of a struggle of a map there for them. 10 elims. Crawley did a good job, only dying 3 times, the least amount of anyone in the lobby outside of Fern, who also died 3 times, but still, that pressure was just not there for the Dilducks. I mean, Marcos found so much value on that Reaper, a hero that you just don't see. You don't see, especially with the Zarya right now, because you always see people just say, okay, Zarya's being played, Zarya Vendetta. That's the strong thing at the moment, but everyone always forgets, what was the main thing that got Zarya into the meta? Zarya Reaper. And this Vivacity team is making it work like a charm.
They 100% are. Did you see that first Ducks ban? I did not see it.
I was looking at stats.
Okay, well, it's fine. To be fair, I think we'll be able to identify.
$5. $5. It's Reaper.
It'd be funny to me if it was Reaper and Cat. That'd be really funny to me.
I mean, hell, if Vivacity is banning up Cat, they feel so confident in this series right now.
Yeah, I mean, what do you ban elsewise? That was a near mirror over the other side. I don't know what you would ban in a very serious effort, quite frankly. I mean, you could, but if you're playing the Zarya anyway, I mean, to be fair, are you just simply going to just try the Zarya here again? Maybe the Ramatra makes appearances, because Malga's not going to work here outside of, like, maybe third point. But
did you see what map was it?
Blizzard World.
Malga's not necessarily... Cassidy and Brig. Interesting. very interesting, especially for Dilducks to ban out the Cassidy first here. It shows you that they're expecting to have a lot more close quarters kind of battles here, where the Cassidy kind of outshines the Soj here. But Brig being banned out, both the teams really used Brig last map well because Kiriko was not available. So you're kind of maybe expecting to see Lucio Kira come back out. This is a map where you could definitely see something like the Iari. We've seen We've seen Zenyatta actually come out here before in the past. But again, these just feel very interesting bans considering we haven't seen much Cass, but we've seen a lot of Brig, especially last map this series.
Yeah, genuinely so. We'll see what happens. I didn't die. Did I again? Did I die again? No, you're still moving. I'm definitely not dead. It's always nice to see. But yeah, now we're just waiting on one person to connect, and then we'll be in for our third and potential final map of the night. And man, if there was a way to establish confidence in this team right here, a 3-0 against the Dilducks would be genuinely the best way to do it. Because this is a Ducks team, which, while it is fun and game for the Ducks, they go into these games and they do lock in. They do their thing. And against many teams so far this season, they have shut them down without question.
Yeah, and again, this is not the Dilducks team, and this is going to sound really mean, that was not in OWCS last year. This is not, I don't think they have that same mentality that they did there. But, I mean, this is still a team that I think a lot of people coming into the season looked at the Dilducks and said, okay, they have a good roster. This is a roster that can really compete against anybody. But right now, I think Vivacity being able to really put it to them is a great testament to them. And I mean, Hunter, I'm just looking back through stats as we're loading in right now, saying like, what do we need to see more of here? And I just fully look back at the stats from map 1, and it's just like, you kind of sit there and scratch your head when you look at them and say, how did Vivacity win that map?
Yeah, trust me, the stats are a little deceiving, quite frankly. I feel like they have kind of been throughout the series, because remember, going into the third point of Lijiang, the stats were heavily in favor of Dilducks. I mean, heavily in their favor.
I mean, at the end of the third point, they're still heavily favored. But getting away from first map, let's look at our third map here right now. Dilducks will be attacking here first. Both teams actually playing the Diva here, which is a kind of a little bit of a surprise to me. But again, I think it's just showing the versatility of Axe at the moment. But Fern, this is what I was going to say. Iari could come out on this map. Fern showing us the Iari. It's going to be really interesting to see how they play her.
We'll have to see momentarily as we're ready to get this thing started here. As Noel, it honestly has been really clutch for this team today. It may be my favorite player so far from the Ducks this game right here. I think they've been popping off big time when it matters the most right here. But Temper has been finding ways to try to outdo them. So we'll see how this ends up going down instead, as double collapse forces Marcus and Fern further and further back away. This really is just kind of a chip game for the Ducks ultimately, because while Croy gets knocked out of mech, actually, that's really bad actually. They're going to take a weird trade with losing out on some support, as Marcus is literally playing a hide-and-go-seek in the back right now.
Axe, though, needs to kind of play their life here for a little bit. They almost got DMX, but if you're Dilducks here, you got a point. You got a tick. So you'll gladly take that, but if you're Vivacity, you need to clean up some more members of the Ducks here, because you do see Crawley coming right back in, and I mean, you'll take the tick if you're both teams, but if Vivacity really need to clean up more of that fight, especially since Crawley really put themselves out very early on in that engagement.
Ooh, and Karma's big pick on the Morlock. They can no longer build the Kitsune Rush. And now you could have a moment here while you're trading out in this moment where it's like, do we pull it? The clear answer seems to be no, as now Morlock should be able to enter this Kitsune Rush here in a moment's time.
Yeah, and I mean, you're also going to have the Override Protocol online. You're in a good spot right now if you're Vivacity here. Probably though, going to throw out that Kitsune Rush first.
Ooh. Fortunately, cannot use that while you're out of mech, because Axe is going to pull the bomb, and honestly, I don't hate this whatsoever, but unfortunately, they're not going to survive it, and unfortunately, this point should be realistically cooked. Fern being down definitely makes this really interesting. Marcos, unfortunately, just doesn't have any sustainability to hang in there, as, yeah, at the end of the day, that will have your first point solidified.
Yeah, and Marcos not going to be able to get the forward spawn, or the good spawns here. Granted, second point defense is not necessarily the worst spawn for defense. They're going to be able to get back in the fight pretty quickly. But if you're the Dilducks, you wanted that. You needed that to go your way, like how it did right there. And look at what you still have. You have both your DPS ultimates online. However, other side's going to have 3 ultimates here pretty soon. So this is definitely a spot where if you're the Ducks, you can get held very, very quickly, especially with how we've been seeing members like Temp and Marcos be able to play this entire series so far.
Yeah, genuinely so. We'll see what happens. This is honestly a good core. I think that could be played for Vivacity. Temper goes way up in the sky. You see the immediate pressure coming in from Croy, who at the very least is going to have a temporary free, but Croy will be taken out of the mech. Unlikely to survive, but I like this. They're just going to let Croy suffer out here. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to force Crawley to go back to spawn, give up the ult charge that they have here. I mean, ooh, there's Frothy Philly just up there. That would have been a huge pick on them. Crawley, though, gives up that ult charge they had. Granted, only ends up being about 20%, so not the most. But this is what I was saying here. If you're Vivacity, you're at a spot where you can really hold, and you have the ultimates to be able to do said hold.
That you definitively do. And now Marcos is in a bit of a rock and hard place scenario. I know, thought about pulling the trigger as Fern gets the Captive Sun eaten, by the way. That's rough. That wasn't in the game plan. Snow is going to run down Axe over here. And now this opens up the door wide here. You may end up losing out on one as Marcos is supposed to trigger again. Honestly, fair play to you. You tried.
I don't hate it. You got 2 right there, meaning that you're going to be able to get your team back into this fight a little bit quicker. Mizuki?
I don't hate it, honestly, because if Kevin Croy go aggressive, you can pull them down. This could just be a second point scenario because someone's going to have to be kind of aggressive to kind of push them back and punish them a little bit. I don't hate it because Fern could find a really good hook to keep somebody down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you right there, but look where this cart is already. I mean, Vivacity's giving up so much space for free, essentially.
Yeah, and Fern, unfortunately just gets absolutely mollywomped right there. And now Morlock is going to let it loose in the 45 over on the point. Croy, remember, does have the bomb available. Who knows how much it could be necessary, as Morlock is just sending everything into this corner over here. So many members getting smacked in the head, in the face. Won't matter too much, unfortunately, right now, as Morlock going to have to let this loose, as it looks like they're going to be able to send them over to the third and final point, and more than likely after that, but bomb hanging around. Axe is going to be able to, no, doesn't remake. Big follow-up from the supports, as the Ducks are going to cap this with probably about 3:15 on the clock added in.
I mean, I don't like how Vivacity played that second point hold right there. They gave up too much space for free and then essentially forced themselves into just a desperation touches. Yeah, all the swaps coming out. Morlock now going over to the Lucio. Axe onto the Zarya now. Fern over to this Kiriko, which are already playing. But, I mean, you're now looking at Axe to be a huge difference maker here. You have them direct counter with Crawley, but still, this DPS line has been really quiet for Vivacity this entire map.
We'll see how much he can get on display. Again, this has been really good for the Ducks so far, but still they need to lock in and finish this map, preferably with some time in the agenda right here. As Marco's going to get forced out. Really needs some carrots. They're going to be bursted down momentarily. He's going to be able to get out here as Temper going to try to shut down some of this aggression that we've seen thus far. And to be fair, it's done extremely well as Temper 11 health to their name. Trying their darndest to hang in there. They will at least momentarily as Croy going to be taken out of the mech. Has to use the bomb in exchange, but will not sustain through it.
And this is a moment right now, if you're Vivacity, you need to clean up this fight and not allow people to get out. Clean up the fight. Take no prisoners here. But yet, you're going to let 2 people escape. Finding Frothy Philly is a nice little stagger here, as the clock will tick down under 2 minutes. But honestly, I like Temper's uses of that override protocol because it got Crawley away from a lot of that fight right there. Put it in a really awkward position. Now, though, look at what Vivacity has here. Death Loss, Consumer Rush. Other side, only going to have that overclock to get everything going. Reddick should be able to build up to beat. And that's going to be what this fight hinges on, this beat.
We'll see what ends up going through here now is Redix is forced back hard. And now Consumer Rush being used. This Marcos goes in, gets another 2 with it. But that is your only 2 involves invested. But to me, you do. Oh my God, they're hard pushing. Wow.
I don't blame him. Take the hard push. Look at what you're about to have here. You almost have grab and beat. That's exactly what you're looking for. Now, Crowley going over to their own Zarya means that you don't have to fear about this grab being straight up in right now if you're Vivacity.
Yeah, you let it loose, but you know these while the Graviton Surges are going to be online, the sound barriers can be very much ready as well, but Redix overextends! Gets taken out, minute left, and now that's enough time for Murloc to build to their own. Or I should say, oh my goodness.
they didn't necessarily overextend. They just got caught out there by accident. They were on the wall ride, and Axe just spotted them and got enough damage into them here. And I mean, 40 seconds left, or nearing 40 seconds left to go here. You at least have one more fight, but Kitsune Rush out, but there's the grab.
Yeah. Sandberry has to be used to K through this one. Red X dies anyway. Pulse Bomb is going to cut off Axe for the rest of the squad. You're back into the 4v4 as your biggest thing is keeping Croy alive. You keep Croy alive. This is still a very winnable fight, but it's going to be let loose. Temper is going to manage to get taken out of the sky here. Eventually, Marco's doing their best to be able to help things out of Snow, get the mega health back. It will not matter, though. With 20 seconds left, the Ducks need to find something, and they need to find it now.
Karma's pushing the cart here a little bit, not going to be able to get much. Crawley, though, so close to a grab. Will they be able to get online? And look at Axe. Back to the tried and true Malga here for final fight. No ultimates online, really, for either team at the start, but that Death Blossom for Marcos is looking very, very tasty. However, the other side has a lot of firepower about to be online here.
Yeah, I imagine you're trying to dump everything into Axe right now. Try to get that Kitsune Rush. That Frothy Philly is so unbelievably far behind on in comparison. Croy is getting thrown as well. They're going to get booted away momentarily. Axe needs to get out of the scenario and get out of there quickly. And Marcos now has a Blossom ready to go. He's going to try to push Snow back. And actually just going to push Snow. Gets the 2-click on the Snow. And now we're in the pure 4v4. You're going to try to pull people in with that grab. And now the hero play coming through. It's going to force the bodies back. Marcos getting rid of 2. They can't come back. Finishes the third, and now the checkered flag has been waved here for Vivacity.
Yeah, Vivacity a really good hold there on third point, but if you're Dilducks, you have to be confident and happy with what you got there because you gave yourself multiple win conditions. First point, second point, and third point. I mean, granted, I'm gonna be honest on it, this is a really awkward spot for this cart to end here. I feel like we don't see the cart end here that often. But you have yourself a chance now, if you're the Dilducks, to be able to win this map and keep this series alive. Reverse sweeps are possible, and they do happen. I mean, Hunter, me and you were part of one last night, but that was a very different league and very different skill level. But right now, I mean, like I said, Temper and Marcos were very, very quiet throughout the first part of that.
What are you talking about? It's not a different skill level. We beat the Ducks, remember? We're undefeated against Dilducks.
we beat the OWCS Ducks. But no. But Marcos and Temper, they were two players that really struggled a lot that last round for Vivacity. But they turned around that third point and made such a big difference. And look at Vivacity right now. No Zarya, no hit scan either. But we've seen this come from them, and it worked for them before. I just don't know if you're going to see the Dilducks be ready for this kind of composition right now. Granted, the Malga was pulled out once, so they probably have that idea thinking, okay, we might see Axe on the Malga. Temper on the Venture, though, is a little bit different because we haven't seen the Rock Muncher at all tonight. Hell, maybe at all in the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Pretty accurate, I would say. They're going to do this little transition to the top right and force them off the high ground. Which, to be fair, ultimately, you want the high ground taken away as efficiently as possible, from the Ducks right now. Because having that deep on the high ground is big. Oh, we saw this before. We saw this before. The Tony Hawk Pro Skater comes into effect for Axe. Doesn't find any landings, but it's going to cause disruptions right here. But Morlock, he's going to lose out on the Lucio 1v1. Unfortunately, with that, you'd be lucky to get a tick here, but this feels out of their hands right now.
They're not going to be able to get a tick. You're going to need a pick here to get a tick. Wait, never mind. There's a pick.
Oh, what? This is... I dare argue that this is potentially winnable, but nah, never mind. Karma is still hanging in there. Croy's full health. It'd be rough to pull around here, especially as, Temper, you might want to just try to get the back cap thing. No, get on. Gets the back cap tick. Okay, love it.
That's huge. And they're going to be able to get out here. Axe, it was a one life thing on the Malga. Love to see Tony Hawk Pro Skater come back out, but going over to the Zarya is a little bit better here right now. Temper, though, going to also stick on to this, stay on the bench. A little bit surprising to me. I thought they maybe just make the swap off, but I think they see something with this, especially just being able to get decent damage in the Crowley, even with defense measures up to keep the drill, is going to be pretty big for them in this fight.
It really is big for them, especially as you're kind of just persisting in here right now. I like Axe's swap in this entire situation right now as Marcos finds an excellent pick over on a Carmes, who has been, honestly, a demon in the backline some of these times right now. Has pulled back endless amounts of fights right here, but Marco's being down, and Croy gonna have to drop the bomb here, hoping to stay alive long enough for it to matter. The question is, will it? The answer right now is it just might, especially as Frothy Philly is about to have a Kitsune rush ready to go, but poor Morlock is just completely separated right here. Frothy Philly lets it loose. It's really just Axe kind of hanging around, but Temper is more than happy to stay in this conversation, stay alive. Axe giving it their all to hang in there, needs the mega health pack, and that they shall get. And now Vivacity could be back in control right here, especially Marco's over on to the point, forcing everybody back. Red X gone, and looks like they're gonna have to give this one up here, but still 4 minutes on the clock. Plenty to work with their Vivacity as they are cleaning up shop.
They're cleaning up shop and just deciding to say, like, hey, we're gonna take all the space in the world right now. Snow almost being taken out, and they're gonna fall right there. Now it's up to Crawley to be able to find a way out, as Axe is essentially already at the second point.
Oh, the perfect cleanse. Oh my god, that could not have been timed any later, or that would have been a massive D-mech. Oh my god.
Marco's gonna have a lot of fun on the point, just being the person who's pushing the cart here. But a little bit of a quick fallback here now from Vivacity. Temper is still up, trying to maybe get a cheeky play, but Marcos is gonna get dived, and they're gonna get dived hard.
That they shall. But hey, you have a lot going into this next fight. Honestly, for both sides, it's quite a bit to really work with, but it's such a distinct advantage for Vivacity where the Ducks kind of play back right now. Perfect shot over on a bird. Graviton Search only grabs one body, and it's Red X. Red X may die as a result. The question is it going to be enough? As Temper's proven, oh yeah, we will make it enough. Gets rid of two. It's just Karmaz and Croy hanging around. This is going to be a quick turnaround fight to get this card moving once more. Should put it into one fight territory.
And again, Hunter, the more and more I watch this Vivacity team, the more and more I'm impressed with them. They don't look like a team that came up from Masters, or from Expert last season. They don't. This looks like a team that's been around Masters for a while. And Marcos, they have this Death Blossom online. Yeah, Crawley can eat a lot of it. Red X, though, this beat is going to be big for them because it's going to allow Karma some time here to get their own barrage online.
That it will right now, but now Sound Bearer going to bring them through right there as Marco's going to be able to get out of there momentarily, but now you're worried about maybe backhalfing this point at least for a moment, but nah. Temper's just going to eventually have to take that death as Marcos does get Snow on the way out, gets another one on the way out. Kind of insane all things considered, but this fight will indeed come to its natural end.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing about Blizzard World's second point is, yeah, you love to see those picks come in late. It doesn't matter. Second point defender spawn is literally within eyesight of the point. So it's not the worst thing in the world here. And, I mean, look at Dilducks here. They have Bomb. They have Kitsu. They have the Barrage. I mean, they are in a spot right now where they could really drag out this round, drag out this point push, and find themselves in control of this map, find themselves a victory as well, which is something they desperately need right now.
Oh, desperately do they ever right now. Fern, Marcos, two people who've been really clutch throughout the whole day have those ults ready and available. It is a desperately needed shutdown right here as Axe is completely separated, gets just full-on barrage, and now without your tank set in place, there's honestly not a whole lot that you can do here, but Fern seems to believe otherwise, especially as Marcos runs in, gets his backline down to the point where Frothy Philly has to pull the trigger over here to try to sustain them through it, but it's just Crawley and Frothy left right now. His body's trying to throw their way on one after another. Unfortunately, I think they get too far separated and they're going to lose out on this fight. And just a little shout out really quick as Fern is trying to get out with Marcus, who's going to pull the trigger on the Death Blossom and get out alive, at least for the moment. This is actually genuine insanity. You know what? These two teams are something else.
No, it's perfect. They get rid of the bomb right there. They can play aggressively right now. Look at Snow. They're about to have their overclock online, but if you can get rid of them right now, it would be huge here for Vivacity.
This ends now.
It absolutely would be. 45 seconds left on the clock. You cannot leave this point. As Temper thrown back, Marcus is around the corner. Is in such a rough spot. Has to grab the mini health pack. Gets booped away. Doesn't fall off quite yet. Eventually will fall though. Sound Barrier coming through. It's the pure 4v4. They're going to be pushing them back one after another. Red X is right around the corner from having this beat. It needs to come on if you want any chance of winning this fight. Quite frankly, Croy, though, getting so desperately low. Red X is thinking of pulling this trigger, whether or not to. The answer is no. They're going to save it for the next point, and with 1:45 left on the clock, it's going to come down to these next 2 minutes.
No, Red X holding on that beat there was the smartest thing they could have done. If they used it in that fight, that fight was already lost for the Dilducks right there. Holding on to it is a smart thing, and oh my goodness, I see Temper trying to be a demon in the front line right there. Not going to be able to find, but again, Hunter, this is a very awkward spot for this golden box of victory to be here. One fight is all that Vivacity needs here to complete the sweep, and you lose Temper. I still think you're going to push this car up as far as you can, but eventually you will have to fall back.
Yeah, Croy's going to need all the care in the world to be able to hang around this corner, because that Zarya is going to remain full charge. As Temper goes over to the Bastion. What?
This is... I love it. This is absolute demon kind of plays coming out here. They just want to make sure there's so much damage as a Kitsu beat though out from Red X.
Yeah, it doesn't get eaten, and Carmen's gets nothing from that. Gets pulled in, needs to be burnt away. Even with shakiness in hand, Axe is eventually going to burn them down, but Katsuna is directly thrown back at them, and they're going to burn away. Snow gets the double collat, as there will be 3 to finish the fight, and now all that's left on the board is a bomb and a Death Blossom.
Snow, though, they can also build up this overclock here very, very quickly. But right now, we've seen a lot of these fights. Dry fights at first. Crawley's not going to use that bomb aggressively. They're going to look for the remaking tool here. But one pick is all Vivasi needs, and Red X almost overextends.
So close right now, and this is going to come down to this. Yeah. This is going to come down to this final fight right here. This is insanity. Marcos might have to be the most clutch man in all of the universe right here. As yeah, Karmas is super far away. They're going to maybe pull this trigger right here and now. Let it loose. Sent up in the air. Marcos is going to be assassinated right there. 5 seconds left. Snow is going to pull this trigger, run it down Axe with everything they've got. Overtime, I believe, activated, but Soul finishes up too. And this thing is dusted as Dilducks will keep things alive. Bring it to a 4th map. Oh my god.
And the Dilducks, they needed this one. Grant, they needed this one to keep the series alive, but they finally showed that they could go toe-to-toe here with Vivacity, and you need a performance like this from Snow. This has not necessarily been a bad series for them, but they had been kind of outshined by Temper, by Marcos on the other side. This DPS line for Vivacity has done so much. Dilduck's DPS line really stepped up here. Same thing with Crowley, stepped up here immensely in this map to make sure the series is extended to a 4th map.
And that it shall. Now becomes a really interesting scenario. And quick little thank you, Rain. Thank you so much for the raid. I'm happy Canada Trials went well. It's been a crazy day. My God. But hey, we'll see what Vivacity wants to do with the map pick, and we see very quickly Runasapi is going to be our 4th map here today.
What do you see from Vivacity? Do you see the Malga? Do you see the Zarya? Do you see the Diva?
Well,
we're not going to see the Diva.
No,
we're not seeing the Diva.
There's no diva in Busing, say.
There's no diva in Peru.
There's no diva in Peru. I would imagine not. I gotta be honest.
And wow, quick ban coming out here from the Reaper. Ooh. You know what? It was gonna be burnt eventually. I think this is the map to burn it on, because I think you really look at how Marcos has been playing this Reaper and say, like, yeah, they are a problem. They are the problem, potentially. But what do you see? Do you see the Malga or do you see the Zarya come out here from Axe? They've shown us great performances on them throughout the series here tonight. But Dilducks, they find a map victory. You have to believe the momentum is back on their side now.
Yeah, but with that being the case, them being in a much better condition, it does come down to one final fight for them, ultimately. And now, you're able to bring Axe back out potentially on that Malga. No Diva available to shut it back down, but of course, you have the added benefit. Oh my goodness gracious. The added benefit of not having the Reaper beside you, which, to be fair, the Reaper has been kind of the signature for Marcus throughout the entirety of the series thus far. It's still like, what do you decide to put with the Malga elsewise? That's even if you decide to run the Malga.
Well, and it's also the thing of, well, we know that the lineups are, and we're waiting on Dilducks to get in here. I was going to say, this could be a map where you see Marcos potentially step out, but the lineups are finalized. Marcos is in it. And like you said, we haven't seen Marcos really play anything else outside the Reaper. And just because I'm bad at my job, I'm drawing a blank on if we've seen Marcos play anything else throughout this season so far. Because like I said, Hunter, this Vivacity team is probably is the team that we have seen the most throughout this season, both in North and South America. So it's gonna be really interesting to see that. I mean, the Venture was an interesting pick from Temper last round, and I thought it did good, but it did leave themselves vulnerable sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it kind of did. I don't blame them for the choice, because I would argue it's had better upswings than downswings thus far. Easily. But still, it's the question of how heavy are those downswings that you've had to deal with thus far. And I don't think they've been heavy enough to warrant not running the character. But Regardless, in the scenario that we are in right now, we'll see what both these teams are thinking as we head over to Runasabi for our 4th and, again, potential final map of the series. But if the Ducks have anything to say about it, they want to push this thing all the way.
They are trying to push this thing all the way because, again, like I said, coming into the series, right now, Vivacity wins this. They stay at the top of the standings. 10 games in, they would be into their final third of the season. Ducks trying to make sure that they are at least going to be able to be tied with Vivacity's record at the end of this one. Both teams would be 7-3 if the Ducks are able to come back and reverse sweep this one here. But, I mean, right now, look at what we're seeing from these two teams. Marcos, the Emre from Marcos, that's their back. That's interesting from them. I don't hate it. I like it. But look at what Crawley's showing us here. The Sigma, especially against Mauga, might be honestly one of the best counters for them because you can hit them with the accretion and stop everything that the Mauga's trying to do here. Snow, though, back over on the Soj, they looked incredible last round on it, and I think they have woken up in this series.
Definitely has woken up, and now you need to try to shut them down really quickly so that momentum doesn't keep flying their way, because I think Snow is definitely one of those players that if you let them build a certain level of momentum, there's almost no stopping. Genuinely so. We'll see where it comes down to as you're looking for a big slam here. Really deep in the backline, by the way, and unfortunately, this doesn't look like it's going to work out very well for Axe, but I don't know. I say that. They take more trades as Axe somehow gets in and out of there. I don't know how that happens, by the way.
But they're still able to just basically run for their life here. You have to get a little bit of bot progress, but it's not necessarily enough here. You can still go right back in as, I mean, they're able to get healed up here a decent amount, but you're now going to need to start turning around and maybe regrouping with your team if you're Axe.
You would hope so. It would be a relatively good idea, I promise. But they are able to come back together, and we'll see how things are going to develop from here, because Kitsune Rush is already becoming something as Frothy Philly very, very close to going down there. Temper is going to stay massively aggressive here with this venture.
And that's what you need. You need Snow to be a big difference maker here for the Ducks. Karma's going to be able to shut down Axe. This DPS line, like I said, definitely stepped up last map, and it looks like they're trying to do the exact same thing here again as the Ducks clean up and are going to start moving their own bot forward.
Yep, and should be able to get this thing, I would say, pretty close to that 25 marker. I think they can come back in time to maybe be able to stop the lead from being taken over. But to be fair, at this stage, it's not too important that you stop it directly before 25, but I still think they're going to try to.
I mean, Frothy really has this Kitsune Rush online way before Fern does. I would not be surprised if they immediately pop this Kitsune Rush just to try to put more pressure onto them. Lead given up here, like you said, it's too early to necessarily give that much of a care about, but Kitsune Rush now out from them. They're going to try to get this checkpoint.
Yep, full turn, but remember, Fern has good turn on right here with their own Kitsune Rush. Going to send everybody back, and you see immediately the Ducks more than happy to simply get out there and say, all right, mate, we understand. This fight's yours. We'll get out of here.
I mean, it's not even the fight. They just back out. They say, like, okay, hey, you kited our Kitsune, we're going to kite your Kitsune and come right back. And Karmaz, watch out for them here. They have this barrage online. They're going to try to use this one probably just straight up on an Axe.
Honestly, why not? You have every reason in the world to. Axe is thrown back, needs a little bit of care in the world right here as Temper close to going down to the back line. Would love to get out of there alive, and that they shall for now. But now Croy is going to have a flux around the corner as well. So much available right now. Big accretion could be massive here to get rid of Axe. Gets just barely misses, unfortunately. But now Axe might not have a choice of survival. 3 thrown up. To one of them will at least go down, but at this stage of the game, Axe needs to find something and find it now. But for Croy's sake, finds the 1, the 2, and Snola to get the 3, as all they can do is desperately throw themselves onto the point. But the checkpoints are inevitable for the Ducks.
Ducks, again, this is the start you wanted here, and if you're Vivacity, I feel like there's a thought in the back of your head that's probably saying, are we letting this series slip away from us here right now? Granted, still a lot of time left to go in this map, so you're not necessarily at the desperation point here, but you need to be able to find a teamfight victory.
Definitely, you need to be able to do more luck. Oh, actually, massive. Oh, never mind. Karma just immediately decides, nah, I want to answer back. Not dealing with this today. And get rid of Temper, honestly, is so massive for what Vivacity is trying to pull off here.
And again, Red X finding Marcos out as well. This DPS line for the Ducks has just been such a different line here than what it was in the first 2 maps. They're finding consistent value, and that's something you need. Temper, though, off the venture, going over to the Tracer now instead. It's going to be a difference maker. I mean, it's at least going to draw a little bit of attention away from Axe a little bit here. But, I mean, right now, Vivacity kind of struggling. They have ultimates to play with, but if you keep on holding on to them, you're just going to allow the other side to build up to their own.
Yeah, they're going to trade out some of these ultimates as well. Double Kitsune Rush. Croy is forced into the corner. Frothy Philly, Redix doing it to the game style live, but big crush over into the corner. And all you can do if you're Croy is take that L, but you'll take it off the point. So because they take it off the point, Croy is going to miss out on forward spawns.
Yeah, and honestly, everyone is.
Yeah, except for Carmex, but you're not staying in there.
Yeah, yeah, they're not going to be able to. And this is going to be an opportunity here where you're now fighting for checkpoint. And great job by Vivacity, not necessarily giving up much space there after the initial checkpoint cap here, because I think that's like, what, barely over a meter after the checkpoint. So you have your cage, you have override. You're in a good spot here right now if you're Vivacity. And one pick early on is all you need.
Oh, but Snow finds the necessary blow right here as you're trying to hit the back line. Snow literally 1 health, by the way. Kind of insane as we're going to see the second one let loose, and I think, oh, Crawley loses out on it, I'm pretty sure, actually. I don't think it connects on anybody.
X needs health, and they need it bad right here. Granted, they have both their supports up there with them, but you need a lot more help right now than that. If you're Vivacity, you just need to back out, regroup with the rest of your team, because you are not going to be able to win this fight.
No, you won't, and Morlock down is going to make the spot go back the other way, and no forward spawns. Unlock for Vivacity. Big stop, unfortunately. It's an even bigger cleanse here from Frothy Philly as they're going to be able to put this bot back the other way, and all things considered, still having this sound barrier sitting by.
And you're going to be able to add on to your lead right now if you're the Ducks, which is a huge thing for them because, I mean, without Vivacity getting that without getting the checkpoint, you still have to wait for that butt scratch to happen right there. It's a big play early on for them. Pulse bomb out! Oh, huge Suzu from Frothy!
That's incredible right there as we're back into the back and forth right now. Marcus wants to find more than one, finds a direct for a moment there under Redix, but no one wants to show their face. Hits Frothy Philly too, but still, they're all alive. This lead is going to extend so much further as a direct result.
Frothy Philly is the only reason this fight's still going on here, and the fact that the Dilducks are still moving it here. A huge Suzu to keep them and Karmaz alive here. Karmaz has his ramp, or barrage here as well, but they're just going to fall back on her. We are into that territory of 50-50 Overwatch, and the Dilducks are going to try to play it.
Yeah, big barrage trying to find something here, but we'll just take a bit of a trade instead. But Redix more than happy to follow up. Axe not having a whole lot of sustainability left sitting by here. You would love to get rid of Frothy Philly. Slammed down to the corner, unfortunately. Is it going to be enough to turn around this fight? And the answer, I think, even though... Oh, actually, you know what? Again, another perfectly timed cleanse is going to eventually call the end for the Ducks here, as they will eventually have to give up the point, but you got to be happy with that progress.
37 meters, so that's the lead right now, and you still have not given up forward spawns or the checkpoint yet if you're the Ducks. You look at the other side right here for Vivacity. Pulse Bomb, Cage, going to be online here. Morlock should be able to build up to a beat here in time, and honestly, you might need to use all three of them just to get you this checkpoint. Crawley has a great stall tactic here, though, with that flux, but right now, the Ducks trying to take an early fight here. I don't necessarily know if I like this as... I mean, you're just seeing Vivacity run straight back towards the point. That's, I think, checkpoint almost for free here.
Basically, yeah, they're going to get the checkpoint indeed, and now they're still hanging around. They're down temper, but now they're back at the 4v4. Croy is just running out of resources. It's going to be burnt down, and now all you can do if you're the Ducks is regroup, die on this point, whatever you have to do to give yourself as much time possible as Frothy Philly doesn't get out in time.
No, they're not, and I mean, the lead is going to be in sight here now for Vivacity, but you should get one more engagement right now if you're the Ducks, at least be able to try to keep it up. That you see that golden line right there. It's going to be the difference right now, and you still have 3 ultimates, about to be 4 ultimates online here for Vivacity.
Yeah, and you're gonna have the initial switch come through. Snow has to shut this down right here and now. Soundberry immediately, and Snow it just backs up immediately, and that's what you have to do. They're letting this loose, so Kitsune Rush over onto it. They use both of their ultimates right there just to create some space.
You need to kite that right there. Override coming out now from Marcos as they need to be able to find one, but a lot of that damage is being eaten up right now. They're struggling to find anyone. Redix has beat online, but they get taken out.
Yeah, Marcos hanging in the air. Is at 9 health. Is gonna be able to get a little bit of care, and now it's dangerously close to going in the power of the Ducks right here. It's back and forth once again. 5 meters away from Vivacity potentially taking this lead over. It's so close. And they use Sound Barrier with 4 people just to get through it. Carmest invest as well, but Axe is still hanging in there. Axe trying to sustain through it all. It's just Redix over on the point. Frothy Philly trying to get back in this one as well. Gets naded the moment they're in. And with 2, 1, no meters, the lead is taken back somehow, some way.
69 seconds left to go here now for Vivasi. They are adding onto the lead. Make it 10 meters and count. Axe will have cage. Look over to the other side for the Dilducks. They really have nothing here. And Vivasi gonna just fall back, regroup here. You have the one ultimate on the field. And honestly, Hunter, I think if you have everyone here, if you're Vivasi, you pop that thing almost immediately. Don't hold on to it. Use it now. Try to keep this bot on this side of the field.
That you 100% enable. So you ends up going over on display. You kind of have to sit here and kind of build up some of these ultimates right now. It's kind of the problem, especially a Kitsune Rush or even a Flux. But the thing is, Axe is hanging around this corner. Nothing happens until Axe is gone, and Axe will be gone. Morlock gets taken out by Snow. That's your real first half here. Snow gets rid of a second one, gets rid of a third one. Okay, Snow, we understand your game. We know who you are, as they will get rid of the forward spawns. And now that's one fight down. And honestly, maybe one more to go. This should be it.
This is final fight no matter what. This is what I said. Axe has his cage online. They're holding onto it as a last-ditch effort, a defensive play. Use it aggressively. You force out stuff from the other side. Frothy's going to have their Kitsu, the Flux going to be online here from Crowley as Axe almost gets taken out. That golden line of victory is so close, Hunter. They can see it.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush is going to be used the moment they pop their head out right here, but here you go, big Flux, cage fight can be thrown down, needs to find any kind of target, does manage to find one with an Axe. They're going to try to burn these bodies down. Axe eventually going to fall down. It's down to Snow to be the clutch for the squad that they have needed. They get rid of one. Is it going to be enough though? With Cry still hanging on the point, Snow gets rid of a second. It was a big clutch to end things on that previous map, and it's going to be a big clutch here as well, as they will try with desperation to get back to the point, but they shall come up just short. Ducks make it happen again. We are going to another map 5.
Like I said, I just wish they would have used the cage on the other side of the map. You knew everyone for the Ducks was right there. Even if you don't end up winning that fight, you probably take a couple kills, and the Ducks are going to have to slow down just to get that back up there. But the Ducks doing everything in their power to keep this series alive. A reverse sweep on the table for them now. And Vivacity looking so good last map, lets that one slip through their hands, and they definitely let this one slip through their hands here again on map 4. They will have final map selection. But honestly, I don't know what you ban out here, especially with what we haven't played. Is it just Escort at this point?
I think so, yeah. It's going to be Rialto. Honestly, maybe you check out the Sojourn here. I don't know. Snow's getting away with way too much. I know Snow can just do it on another character, but it has mainly been happening on the Sojourn. Honestly, I'm not to the point where I might be shocked if it's not Sojourn. Genuinely.
Here's the thing. You've banned out we know Dildox has banned out the Malga already. We know they banned out the Reaper. So those two are going to be on the table no matter what on this map. But do you play them on this map? That's going to be the question. Probably if you're Marcos, yes, that Reaper's going to come back out here. The Malga's going to be the more interesting one here for Axe, because we've seen him play Diva, we've seen him play Zarya, and they've looked very, very good on those two heroes. The Soj is interesting because it also just protects something. Like, you could use it as a good target ban and just a good protection ban, but you might do a protect ban here, honestly, if you're Vivacity. I don't know who you would be protecting, but it's going to be interesting here. That timer is counting down here. We're going to figure it out momentarily.
That we 100% shall. That's crazy. What a way to end this night. And map 5 between these two teams. Honestly,
two map 5s.
Two map 5s. Have we ever had a double map 5?
No.
I don't think we've
got a lot of double map 3s.
Too many double map 5 or 3s, but 5s, I don't think we've done one in the entire existence of our time doing this. 4th season in, it's happening for the very first time. Making history right here, fellas.
Yeah, but you called it. Soj is the ban out here. Snow has just taken over, I think, especially on Blizzard World, and you definitely saw it there on Runasapi, where they were just a problem. They were a big, big problem. Get rid of that one-shot potential on the overclock and just the railgun there from Snow. You maybe force them back over to something like the Emre, which I think you're okay with. I mean, Emre, I don't think is the monster that they were about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago anymore. I think now they're still insane, but more human.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitively human. That's the thing, but these players have gone so far for a very good reason. They've had as much success as they had for very definitive senses from everything we've seen today, to where, let's be reminded of where we're at in the series. They were getting shut down, I would say, pretty hard back on Saravasa. All things considered, really hard. to the point where in my head I was thinking this really just might be a 3-0. And again, we were one fight away from it being a 3-0. We were one fight away just now from it being a 3-1. And now, despite that, we are here going into Rialto here shortly to determine who's going to take this big game. A game that, honestly, at least for Vivacity, pretty much guarantees safety for them.
It guarantees safety. Again, this is just me saying it here, just based off the last couple seasons. 8 wins has kind of been that they're in or they're out spot, that teetering on being in. 9 is normally a guaranteed safe spot into playoffs here. This would be a huge win for them because I think it would give them a lot of confidence. I think, hell, taking Dilducks to 5 gives you a lot of confidence. However, right now, if you're Vivacity, you were up 2-0. Now it's tied 2-2. Dilducks are feeling a lot of momentum. They are probably feeling the best they felt all season here, being able to come back against this team. Right now, Zarya, though, going to be the second ban coming out here from the Dilducks. And like I said, this was where maybe you see a tank ban come out here just to protect maybe the thing that Axe was going to play on the Czar. Because you have the D.Va. Well, I don't think you can ban that out anymore because it was banned out last map by the Ducks. You've banned out the Malga. You've banned out the Zarya. Essentially, the Dilducks have used 3 of the 5 bans here tonight on Axe. That just shows you how much of a problem Axe has been.
Axe has been a massive issue this entire game for the Ducks. Like, I don't think that can be overstated. And sometimes it doesn't even depend on what it's on sometimes. It's been primarily that Malga, but they've just been a massive threat overall. To where if Axe wants you down, odds are you're not surviving the fight. He might not live the fight either, but he's going to make sure you go down with him. It's been a really good display thus far. But at the end of the day, as good as both these teams have been, they can't both win here. So we'll head into Rialto, 5th and final map to end this long evening.
And no subs for either team. Again, I mean, you look at the subs on Dilducks, Baz, and Palouette. Those are players that are incredible in their own right. Not seeing them at all tonight. Makoto, Brayden, Savage. We've seen Makoto in the past, and they were very impressive for this Vivacity team. Brayden, I believe we've seen once. Savage, we've also seen once. Again, still very good. But these 10 players have been going up against each other all series long, and this is it. Coming out of the gate, though, both sides at least showing us D.Va for the moment. Karmaz sticking on to this Pharah, which has been really good for them, honestly. Again, we talk about Pharah having a lot of burst damage potential and just ability, and they've done a good job at showing that. Morlock, though, again, this Vivacity team doesn't seem to prefer to play the Lucio. They prefer to play this Juno, which has worked out for them very well so far.
I think it's worked out very well. And again, with Zarya also being out of here, you don't really have to worry about having a Lucio necessarily to sustain yourself through Graviton Surges. That's not a concern anymore. Morlock, I think, has proved to be excellent throughout the series with that Juno. But we'll see how well it works here. It's got to get them off to a good start here as we begin Rialto, where Vivacity have the chance to deny the reverse sweep.
Temper almost gets taken down very early on there, and you immediately just see Axe just go straight into the building here. They're going to try to do a little bit of a play here, it looks like, where maybe a little bit of a dive onto that high ground here.
Definitely going to try it out. At least you want to try to clear this high ground out as much as humanly possible. Temper being down, not the best start in the world for our fellow attackers here. But still, spawns so much more closer. Axe is going to get the care they need to stay in mech. Morlock can't say the same, though, as Axe just has to completely back out of there. Oh my god.
Karma's finding Fern. I would not be surprised if you see a little bit of a swap come out here from Vivacity. No, it's going to be Axe going there. Morlock just going back over to Lucio here. I think you need a little bit more of the constant speed here if you want to run down this comp the way you want to, especially with Marcos on this Reaper. Again, I think a lot of how this map is going to go for Vivacity is going to come down to how Marcos plays. Really, this Reaper.
Yeah, this Reaper's been rather insane, but Temper can shut down someone who's honestly had some really good games throughout the rounds, throughout the entirety of this match. He's kind of just getting shut down and been very silent so far to get things started here. But at the end of the day, you got to find a way to bounce back in. You loop over, take this high ground over. You would love to find somebody on the follow-up, but nobody is willing to show their face in longer than half a second.
Yeah, and Temper's in an awkward spot right now because they're behind the entirety of the team, but they find Karmaz. That's who you needed.
Excellent pick right there. Axe is going to shut them down as... Well, yeah, it was canceled. Oh my god! And now there's nothing you can do about that. You still have what? That's Crawley and Redix on the outside. Actually, both supports. What?
And right now, I mean, if you're Vivasi, you are putting 3 members on that cart, trying to get this as close as you possibly can, because you look at the other side, Kitsu and Barrage online, and unfortunate.
That is not good.
Unfortunate DT, but you have the ultimates here. If you're Dildux, not to necessarily worry about that one here. You have Bomb, you have Kitsu, you have Barrage. You look over at the other side, because of how awkward these first couple fights have gone for Vivasi, they have nothing. They have nothing here. So you could invest big, heavily into this fight right now if you're the Ducks.
Very heavily so. Will they? I think they should, honestly. I think the way this team is able to take fights, I think you can win this 4v5. Now, there's no guarantee whatsoever. Everybody's at full health. You're around the corner from having a bomb potentially for Axe. And Croy, if they want to find value, you have to make two choices. You either just solidify your spot over on the point, or you risk rushing past it to try to cause separation to find some blows. Which one it'll be, I couldn't tell you, but if I'm the Ducks, I'm taking this 4v5.
You're going to have to. And like I said, you have the ultimate to expend here. There's nothing on the other side that you really have to worry about.
Yep, there it is. Snow's going to come back over on the Widow, and we've seen some Widow play earlier today that I have seen that has just been... Oh, it's been terrifying to deal with right here. But Temper is taken out in their stead, as Snow is going to indeed come back. As you see them loop around, at least they are trying to loop around. It's not working out too well, though, as they will indeed be forced back here, as Karmez having a barrage ready to go. Axe has to be very mindful.
Yeah, they have to be mindful, and this is such an awkward spot for just Vivasi to be in right now. And you look at Time Bank Hunter, they really cannot afford to keep going slow here, and why is Marcos all the way in the back line?
Couldn't begin to tell you, but Axe is going to have that bomb ready to go. Axe is going to maintain mech, it looks like. Yeah, that they shall. Red X has a sound barrier, though, as Marcus is hanging around way in the back, and Marcus might as well be cooked. Yeah, just gets with that there. Sound barrier is going to push them all back. Really good cleanse coming through as Bong we throw into the back line. Can Croy hit the remake? That they shall. Temper down. And again, Vivasi is going to come up short.
But you look at the ultimates that Vivasi has coming in this next engagement. Not the worst case scenario here, but this is the final fight no matter what on this round here. If Vivasi does not come out atop here, they have 3 ultimates. That should be enough to get you over the line, but we have seen that fall apart in the past here for multiple teams. And I like what the Dildoks are doing here. Just play aggressive. Just try to keep them as far away from point as possible. You already see Temper trying to get around maybe for a back cap potentially, but you have enough members of the Dildoks right there to make sure there's not going to be a back cap possible.
Yeah, Morlock was so close to going down. Axe now so close to going down, trying to burn with those heroes. Temper is down. Casino Rush is out there, and Marcos might have to be a classic hero once more, having a death blossom ready to go. Marcos is going to be forced around, hanging about right there. The back line right there is Karma is eventually going to be gone. Consuming Rush, second one online for Frothy Philly. This is going to determine whether or not they win the fight potentially. This comes out. You need to make some space. Axe so close to being burnt down. Marcos has to be an absolute hero for the squad. Lets it loose, but they're going to get burnt away, eventually falling over, and Snow is going to try to shut it down here and commit to the full hold. Pulse Bomb needs to be absolutely big right here. Snow managed to get rid of one, hoping to find a second. Gets a little help with the third, and they're going to commit a full hold, and Vivacity's work is cut for them. Oh my God.
Vivacity's, yeah, like, here's the thing. You have 2 fights, you can lose your Vivacity. That's it. That is truly it. Dildoks, they have come alive in this series, and it's honestly right now unfortunate for Vivacity. This was looking to be a great series for them at the start of it, but I think it has now gone away from them. I really do. I think Snow has come alive, and that's been the biggest difference maker here for this Dildoks team. I mean, just looking at the stats from that last round right there, Snow, granted, they disconnected, but didn't die at all after they came back. Same thing with Red X, who was there the entire time, didn't die. I mean, you're just seeing great plays come out. Temper, a struggle for them that round right there. 7 deaths, most of anyone in the lobby. Hell, Temper died more times than the entirety of the Dildoks.
Wow. I mean, what do you say to that? Genuinely so. Because now you're in such a rough scenario, having to clutch this one back around. To be fair, Axe is on the Dominant. I haven't seen Dominant. It feels like a hot minute, quite frankly.
I don't like it. I don't like it. It seems like they're trying something here and hoping that it's gonna work. Me and you have seen Domina, hell, since she came out, where she went from being maybe one of the strongest tanks in the game to, I think right now, being a tank that is very easy to counter here, and you're looking at your DPS line to really pick up a lot of the slack right now. But hey, I might be wrong about that. Axe might be able to show us the best Domina play that we will see all season long here. They're
Maybe
almost
perhaps
dead.
so. Axe is literally one. Axe is dead already. I have no commentary for that. Axe is dead.
Worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, because you're gonna basically give up all this space for free right now, and Axe is sticking with it. They're sticking with the Domina.
I don't know the logic behind this. And now you have to regroup quickly, which, by the way, if you fully get this room up, it is one fire territory. And there's nothing you can do. Axe is going to get pushed back. It is complete desperation, trying to find literally anything that will work here. But Axe is just literally sitting in no man's land. I don't like it.
It's just such a weird play. Like, they were doing so good on so many other tanks, and you lose temper here early on. And, I mean, it's just an awkward fight coming out here now from Vivacity.
Your bright side is, again, I mean, you take Karmez out, the mech is gone, you should be able to sustain right here. But again, Axe is still, despite the fact that they're kind of up right now, Axe is still getting, like, massively harassed. That is eventually going to do it, but honestly, I'm in a situation, if I kill Koi right now, I am Axe and I am running back as they get taken out anyway. Please, I beg of you. Please swap back.
They need to make the swap. Their team's at least being able to clean up this fight here. Snoll, get a farther than Marcos. Karmez, though, back, and you're going to see Rex come back as well. But Axe, what are they going to do here?
Thank God.
Over to D.Va now instead. They're going to match it. Is it a little bit too late? It might just end up being the ults now for each side. I mean, you look at Dildux, going to have really two here ready to go. If Fern is going to really need to use this Consumer Rush perfectly to allow Marcos and Morlock to build up to their own ultimates here. Half that time bank almost gone. That cart slowly starting to fall back right now, but Fern uses that Suzu on themselves early.
Has to right now. Rough area, and Fern is just so deep. Has to let the Consumer Rush go because you realize you can't die with it still in your hand. You've got to let it loose. And now, Redx gone. Does open up the door very nicely right here. Consumer Rush thrown directly back, though. Axe needs to go grab that Mega. Doesn't get it in time. And now, this could be the door shutting on this series. It might be down to Marcos again. I talked about needed to be here before. Couldn't pull it off. It's going to be needed now here. As you see them try to run away with the Marcos is hanging around as literally one health, and they can't even retouch the point. It's a reverse sweep for the Ducks. They'll take it away. Insanity.
Insanity, and I think the easiest way to put this is Vivacity let this series go. They fumbled it. They fumbled, and this is not me saying like putting all the blame on them. Dildux played incredible those final 3 maps. They really did. They held on Blizzard World in a close situation. They came back on Runasapi very close after giving up the lead very late with about a minute to go, and then they just hold here on Rialto. And just the Domina pick again. Me and you talked about it maybe 3 weeks ago. Domina was one of the best tanks to play on a poke map, such like Rialto. Domina's not that tank anymore.
No,
they're not.
I don't.
You've seen just the general shift away from Domina back over to the Sigma. If you're gonna be playing poke here, there was a play. I have to imagine there was a play that Vivacity had set up there, but it just never came to fruition. And anytime that Axe overextended past their shield, you just saw their health bar go down to essentially 0 very, very quick there. This is going to be a series that at the end of the season could come back to really haunt Vivacity. But if you're Dildux, congrats right now. A huge win for them, 7-3. And because they're the team that has played now 10 games, they're going to be sitting first in the standings. Even though Team Z and the Fallen, Team Z has 1 loss and the Fallen technically have none. Those teams have not played 10. Hell, Team Z, I think, is playing their 8th game tonight. And if the Fallen is playing tonight, that's their 6th game. So Dildux will be atop the standings here for a little bit.
Yeah, that's insanity from them as well. I mean, there's a lot I could say about this and the way this is going on. There were other games over tonight. EXO took that 3-0 win over Pivot. Not too shocking. There's other ongoing games right now where... Okay, I'm pretty sure I read that wrong. Okay, I did. Wait, no. Artemis took the first map off of Fallen. It doesn't look close either. What are you talking about? What do you mean? What is in the water? What's happening
here? But here's the thing. If you're Vivacity, you lost this series. You lost it in a reverse sweep. I still think you take positive away from this one. You went up against Team Z on Wednesday. You lost that one, and based off the stats, it wasn't really close. You come into this one against a really good Dilducks team, you take them 5. But again, it was more of Dilducks took them 5. And I think that's a huge thing to say about Vivacity. And it gives me confidence in them, especially against some of the teams they have coming up here. Because I'm going to take a look at their schedule here real quick. Because again, I talked about it coming into this series tonight. They're in the middle of their gauntlet right now. It started with Team Z. It was the Ducks tonight. Next week, they have the Fallen and Extinction Zero, which one of those games is winnable. If the Fallen struggle tonight against Iliad, both those games might be winnable. I mean, hell, I think Vivacity, just what we saw the Night Hunter, I think most of these games are winnable for them. They have Fallen, Exo, Amplify, Meow, and my bad. Fallen, Extinction, Amplify, Meow, and they end with Exo as their final game of the season. I think this is still a playoff team. This is still very much a playoff team. They need to find 2 wins. That's it. But I mean, hey, if you're Dilducks, again, huge way to come back here tonight. You look at their remaining schedule here for the season, because again, both these teams are now into the last third of their season. Only 5 more games left to go, and they have Meow Academy, Wink, Hive Mind, the Fallen, and Extinction Zero. This is a remaining schedule that I believe they are probably favored in the majority of these games.
I think it's very reasonable to say. It's a really good situation for them. I think realistically, like you said, it's just a couple more wins these teams need to really lock themselves in, because 8 feels like a safe number, but 9 is the real safety to really keep
9's
yourself
real
in that
safe.
situation.
10 you're golden.
Yeah, you're a golden pony boy. Oh my god, that is insane. It's been a long day. God, it's insanity. Oh.
You have what, 8 a.m. tomorrow?
Yeah, I got 8 a.m. tomorrow. We start up, so I'll be up at like 7:15 probably. But hey, even with that being the case, I'm glad today has happened. It's been an extremely long day, but these were some amazing games. I could not be happier. I got to experience them here today. I mean, Dex, any final words on this? Because this entire day has been insanity, man.
I mean, South America graced us with a 5-map series. Again, I think that's something rare for South America this season. North America graces us with a 5-map series. I also believe rare, and it's a reverse sweep on top of that here. I mean, it was a great night. It was a really great night of Faceit and a great day of Overwatch, especially for you, Hunter, as you covered the EMEA Conference Cups earlier today as well. And you will be doing it tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. EST for everyone who wants to watch.
Yeah, it'll be going on then. It'll be going on for quite a while. So if you're like, I don't want to wake up that early, then do not. Join us at any point you want. It'll be going probably till 2 or 3 p.m. EST, more than likely. So plenty of time to join in and have a good time. With that being the case, it's time to relax for tonight. It's been a long one thus far. So everybody, I appreciate y'all's support. Y'all came out in masses today, and I cannot say how much I and Dextron obviously appreciate that. So everybody, have yourselves a good night. We'll see you tomorrow for some World Cup action. Take care, y'all.
No, say don't go off the mic.